Hey everyone, today is Thursday, the 14th of November 2019. This is The Gap, episode 493. I'm Luke Lawrie. Joab Gilroy is here. He's back off the plane from Japan. How was that?
Well, the plane from Japan actually pretty good. I had a free seat next to me.
Nice.
I had organized to have a full fucking row, but then some dickhead sat on the other end. But as soon as the seatbelt sign went off, I moved like one in. You know, it was the middle aisle, 4-seater row, and before he could do this to me, I jumped across into the if you imagine the seats are 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1 is on the aisle and 4 is in the aisle, I jumped across to 2 from 1 immediately to sort of shape off any chance. I guess he could have moved to 3 as well, right? If we're imagining the
You
seats.
both moved closer to each other.
It would have been fucking weird. It would have been such a fucking baller move. But he didn't.
And then he just looks at you in your eyes and the nod.
Yeah, the nod, and then I'm like, fair enough. I got nothing.
And then you take his seat.
I moved to 4.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. No, then I'm giving up too much. You know, he's got 1 and 2 as well as 3 then at that point, unless he also moves across, and we just fully switch sides. But so yeah, you know, at that point you get 2 seats. You leave the other person to 2 seats, but you also if you take the middle one first, if you take 2 or 3 first, you've got a little bit of extra give, right? Because if you sort of drift off and lean over to one side during the night while you're sleeping, the flight attendants aren't going to ram your shoulder or elbow with a fucking trolley cart.
Yeah.
Yeah, which happens to me quite often when I stay on the aisle, because I don't know, I just don't sit upright properly, I guess. So yeah, I don't know if that happened to him. He curled himself up into a little tiny fetus ball and slept across the 2 seats. And we made eye contact because he put his foot on me at one point.
Right.
And he wasn't asleep at this point. Well, he was. I think he was drifting off. But as soon as he put his foot on me, I flipped my my eye mask up, and I've just sort of looked at him, just the real slow turn. Like, what are you doing? And he was like, "Oh, sorry," and never came close to me again. I don't even know how he balled up into such a tiny little feast ball, but he was extremely conscious of not putting his feet on me again, which, you know, fair call. He should have been more conscious in the first place, but
yeah, a bit of a tickle.
Bit of a tickle, you know. Yeah. Lick the end of my finger, and then tickle in between his toes.
Yeah.
So it's the wet in that worst spot. That'd be really upsetting. Anyway, so yeah, it was a good flight back. I slept almost the entire way.
What?
Still felt.
What happened?
Yeah.
You're gassed.
Melatonin. Have you had this shit before? It's you know, a natural supplement or whatever the fuck. But it works. I don't know if it's placebo or what, but I don't know. It just conks me out. It's real good.
Cool.
That and I watched a quarter of Aladdin, the Aladdin remake.
Yeah.
It was on the thing. Fuck, that movie's awful. So that was a good incentive to go to sleep.
Did you ever go see the musical? Sorry,
No.
the theater, not the musical.
No.
Yeah, that one's really good.
I think this is based on the theatrical, production.
Right.
It seems more like everyone in it is acting way over the fucking top, like they're in a fucking play. And I'm not a fan. I am not a fan. Maybe we could just tone it down a little bit. I get that it's about genies and shit, but yeah, maybe we could fucking wind it back a bit. So that sucked. Speaking of movies, I also watched what's it called? Hunter Killer with Jared Butler and Gary Oldman.
Right.
Someone didn't put their fucking phone on Do Not Disturb.
Oh no, it's vibrating. Someone's
It was me too.
emailing.
I didn't do it either. Oops. So that movie is the answer to the question. Hey boss, we've got all this extra footage of submarines in CGI. What are we going to do with it? And then the boss answers with, "Oh, well, I've got this leftover script for a Call of Duty game. So why don't we just somehow marry the two?" And yeah, that was it. That was that's the entire plot of that. Because I thought it was going to be like fucking Dust Boot or some shit, or at least U571. But they spend surprisingly little time on a fucking submarine. They spend a surprisingly large amount of time not on a submarine. And the submarine itself doesn't play that big a role in things, despite Jared Butler being the star. So yeah, anyway, not a terrible movie. Better than Aladdin.
Mm-hmm.
Out of 10, I would give it better than Aladdin out of 10. It'd have to be trying to be worse though.
Have you seen The Lion King yet?
No.
Right. Okay.
Is that worse or better?
I haven't seen it yet, but
I've
heard things about it.
I've heard it. It's worse.
Yeah.
Aladdin's like my favorite Disney movie. I think everyone's favorite Disney movie is whichever one like landed right when they were that perfect age. Like I've got nieces and nephews, and for some of them, Frozen is their favorite Disney movie.
I've not seen
and
it.
Moana is their favorite Disney movie. You've seen Moana, right?
No.
Oh, you should watch Moana. Yeah, it's fucking awesome. It's a good movie. Maybe not fucking
now,
awesome, but it's a good fucking movie. Frozen, it's got good songs, but I could take it or leave it. But Moana is actually properly entertaining. Like it's weird though, right? Like because they both came out at the same time, and the same goes for my little brother's favorite is Lion King, while Aladdin is my favorite, and they both came out pretty close together, but just far enough apart for us to be, I don't know, that perfect age, that perfect Disney age, I guess, to really like one over the other. Anyway, so Aladdin's my favorite. I wonder if that impacted how much I didn't enjoy the portion of the live action remake that I saw. But yeah, I don't know. Might be reading too much into it. It might just be shit.
I think it's just not a good film. Because I liked the Beauty and the Beast one that they did.
I didn't watch it.
With Emma Watson and Dan Stevens and those guys.
Yeah, right. That's because you've got the biggest fucking boy crush on Dan Stevens alive.
He's pretty good. But yeah, I feel like the rest of them that they've done has been not that great.
The Jungle Book was good.
I haven't seen that one yet.
I'd say it's probably the best of the ones I've seen.
Jon Favreau, wasn't it?
Yeah, and yeah, just, I don't know. Maybe they've got to go back. Oh no, because it doesn't work for Dumbo.
I haven't seen Dumbo, but I heard it's okay.
Like it's fine, but it's I don't know. Well, the source material wasn't that good in the first place. I didn't really like Dumbo.
Are they doing like Pinocchio as well?
Oh, probably. They're doing all of them. They're just,
just redoing them all.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, so that was that. While we're not talking about video games, The Mandalorian is out. Because Disney Plus is out. Actually, we're speaking about Disney games. Could you use that as a segue? But anyway, what'd you think of The Mandalorian?
It's different.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like they maybe made a mistake by not putting them all up at the same time, but I understand why they've done it that way. As like there's not a lot of new content on there, I guess, like a big blockbuster TV show, and then so having people just consume it all at once, then they get to the end of the week and be like, why am I signing up for this type thing? So them trying to milk it a bit longer is, obviously why. But
it's definitely what Apple Music is doing. You've seen someone did the maths and they got like 30 hours of fucking content.
Yeah.
Like 30 total hours. You could watch all of the Apple Plus content in 30 hours.
Right.
Yeah. Like, it's a bit more now because they've released an extra episode of a bunch of TV shows nobody wants to watch, but...
Sure. That's not the case for Disney Plus, though.
No, they got fucking hours and hours and hours and hours of shit.
And stuff you, like, actually want to watch.
Oh, yeah. Star Wars films, right? Yeah. Or mangled, fucked up versions of The Simpsons. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know, man. Like, I thought it was fine. It's very like it's a Star Wars TV series that is, you can tell it's in the Star Wars universe, but it's very slow at the moment, and I don't really I think the problem at the moment is just not understanding who this character is, or like what they're kind of like, who they are, because you don't get a lot of, I mean, you get a lot of time with this character, but he's very blunt and like like he's not a conversational person, right? And so you don't really know what's going on, but the stuff, like everything I saw, I enjoyed for the most part. It's maybe a bit short. It's like 35 minutes. It feels like it was meant for TV, so they've got the 35 minutes in there to, like, we'll put ads in between and that'll stretch it out to an hour slot, whereas Netflix doesn't really do that. They kind of just they make an hour-long show or a 55-minute show or you know, whatever. Same with, like, you look at an example like Game of Thrones or something. They don't really have like a start and stop. They kind of just just kind of wing it. And so I felt the pacing was a bit weird for them to just release one episode. But I keep watching it for sure. Like, I enjoyed it still. It felt a bit weird, but not weird enough to make me not want to watch more of it. Like, I really dug what I saw. But yeah, speaking of HBO, you've been watching Watchmen? I've seen the first 2 episodes. I haven't had a chance to. What are that to 4 now?
4.
Yeah.
Man, I'm in. I'm all in. That shit's fucking amazing.
Yeah.
I reckon they're fucking nailing it with that. Like, just, it's such a good continuation of the, like, concept, the ideas behind the original series.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think it just fucking works. There's so much going on, and they keep adding new layers and little tiny callbacks, and then big callbacks, and building on the universe. I've been reading. I read a bunch of comics while I was like traveling, and I read Before Watchmen. I've been reading Before Watchmen, and it's pretty good. I also read Doomsday Clock, which still isn't fucking finished. It's supposed to be monthly, and I think it's been coming out 2.5 monthly for the last fucking 2.5 years at this point. But
what does Alan Moore think of all this stuff?
Not a fan. But like, at some point, like, he hates. Well, yeah. Like, I looked into it quite a bit, and I get his perspective. He's pissed. He's largely pissed off, right? Obviously, he's pissed off because whenever they translate any of his shit into a movie, he created it for a comic book, and so translating it to a movie feels like betraying the art form. He's very much about using an art form for its purpose.
Sure.
But it doesn't really. Back when Watchmen was written, the things you could do in a film weren't necessarily the things you could do in comics weren't possible on film, right? But we've moved far enough forward that that's no longer the case. And I think Zack Snyder, for all his faults, proved that pretty well with the Watchmen film, which you know, lacks a large amount of imagination, right? Except for the, in my opinion, significantly better ending.
Yeah, it's a way
Um,
better ending.
yeah.
And
Uh,
also the like he made a film that is looks at the source material and like he pulls it off. Like there's not big sweeping changes in there except for that ending because the ending is in the comic is a bit stupid.
so it's a bit dumb. Yeah. I'm not a fan. But yeah, look, like I think he goes further than not making. I think he literally, in so many cases, just translates the comic to the screen,
Yeah,
which makes it more difficult for me to like, accept Alan Moore's position that it couldn't be created, like couldn't be transferred to film because he clearly can, right? That's what happens in the Watchmen film. He also got dicked, like mad dicked about by DC over that film. So, like, yeah, I can understand why hearing about it a fuck ton and having to talk about it every time someone, asks him about the new TV show or something would get his fucking goat because, yeah, like it's just a big old reminder of how hard he got fucked. And yeah, he just wants to like sort of throw it away. That said, yeah, what they're doing with the TV series, I think I think he'd enjoy it. Like if he could put that stuff up the like his personal history, and he shouldn't have to, obviously, but like if he could, I think he'd enjoy what they're doing with
yeah.
the Watchmen TV
Maybe he
series.
needs to go speak to George Lucas for a little bit or something. I don't know.
Oh, Georgie boy's still fucking hurting. Like he's got fucking $1 billion. Alan Moore didn't get a fucking $1 billion for the Watchmen, right? Like Georgie boy's got no fucking excuse.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, still, yeah, love and Watchmen. It's like my like absolute must watch. It's like a drop everything type watch for me. Um, I still have to wait for my wife to get home, unfortunately. Otherwise, I'd watch it the moment it was available. But
Could watch it
what are you
twice.
gonna do? Yeah, watch it twice. Um, pretend I know everything. That's like it'll be like Game of Thrones all over again, where I'm like sitting there waiting for it to react to shit. Uh, anyway. Anyway, want to talk about Japan first or
Yeah.
other games? Japan. So I went to Japan. Went to Tokonami, which is on the Chita Peninsula, which is in the Nagoya region. So Nagoya is sort of a small. I'm using inverted commas. Small city in Japan. I said like I use inverted commas because I got lost in Nagoya. And it took me fucking forever to work out where the fuck I was. I clocked 30,000 steps trying to get back to the fucking train station. So the day we got in, we landed super early. Went to our hotel. Got to our hotel at fucking 8 in the morning. Because where we were staying was very close to the airport, like within walking distance of the airport, and also walking distance of a train, and also walking distance of the Aichi Sky Expo, which is where the event I was there to cover was happening. And so those were the yeah, that was what was going down. Uh, couldn't check in, and they were like pretty adamant that we weren't going to be able to check in until 3 p.m. So they're like, sorry, like you'll just have to, I don't know, go sit down. But it was 7 hours away. So we decided to go head into Nagoya, which was a 30-minute express train away. About 45 minutes on the not express train. And yeah, I mean, Japan's public transport is fucking phenomenal. Like, absolutely spectacular. It's always perfectly on time. Once you work out how it works. Like once you work out the particular fucking format, it's so easy to fucking work out what to do and where to go next, and you know how to get to a location on a train. Like it's fucking amazing. I love the fucking trains. Anyway, so we're going into Nagoya, sort of fucking faffed about a bit, like wandered around, got some food, went to Nagoya Castle, which is a giant, like, proper fucking Japanese castle, the sort you see in fucking, like, samurai movies and shit. It was fucking awesome. Wondered about that. Was with Nick. I can't remember his last name. Nick. Nico. And he's from Channel 9. He's like a little bit taller than Nate.
All right.
So he's a tall
Like
dude.
8 foot.
8 foot tall. And yeah, like we were wandering through this castle that had like a recreation of like some of the living quarters. And man, he basically had to walk stooped the entire time. I had to lower my fucking head to not crank it on fucking beams and shit. I do not know how you would fucking live in this fucking place. Like, I'd give myself a concussion every time I tried to go piss in the middle of the night. Like 100%. Anyway, so that was pretty bananas. Anyway, after we finished that, the Ubisoft people that we're traveling with had to go have a meeting, like a pre-event meeting.
Sure.
So they went back, and Nico went with them, and I stayed in Nagoya and just sort of fucking wandered around. Yeah, it was rad. Like just fucking looking at stuff and grabbed some chicken nuggets from 7-Eleven for lunch. Went to a Don Quixote, which is like a big sort of department store, but like the cheapo department store. Like it's just got fucking stacks of shit. Found a bunch of Kit Kats because they're like Kit Kats are like the Tim Tams of Japan. Like if you want to bring someone back something that they can vaguely recognize, you get wacky fucking Kit Kat flavors. So I got like yuzu sake and like berry, green tea, banana, like just fucking a bunch of different
Stuff that nobody
Kit
would
Kat
ever
flavors.
eat.
Like the sake ones are flat out disgusting. Fucking, you have like a bit of one of them, and you're like, they've certainly replicated the flavor of lemony sake. Well, now that we've done that, throw out the rest of them. They're disgusting. Yeah, yeah, no, absolutely nobody would ever want them. But yeah, you're like, you gotta. I love Kit Kats in general, so yeah. But I like chunky ones. I like the big chunky Kit Kat. Anyway, got them. Found Nate some all black Doritos. Like all black brand or all black themed Doritos. So I absolutely picked those up. They're in clearance because clearly everyone, well, the Rugby World Cup was over and the All Blacks had fucking lost in disgrace. So yeah, anyway, just got him that to remind him of how shit the All Blacks were this year. They did better than Australia, but they were always going to do better than Australia, so fuck it. Try to find some whiskey. Obviously, it's the never-ending quest. Whenever you go to Japan, you got to find some whiskey. Failed miserably, awfully. Didn't happen. Anyway, left Don Quixote and spied the building that I was using as my landmark, and so that I'd be able to return and walk towards it for about 15 minutes. I looked on Google Maps. My phone died while all this was happening, so I had to use landmarks. My phone died. I looked on Google Maps before I got to Don Quixote, and I'd sort of like eyeballed it. I didn't really zoom in to count how many streets there were, but it was a fucking 20-minute walk to Don Quixote itself. So I walked for 15 minutes towards my landmark, and quickly realized that I'd missed a couple of other landmarks. There was like a river that I was supposed to cross at some point, and like all this other shit. And then I noticed that I'm like not in a built-up area anymore, and like I'm in sort of like some suburbs, and the place I'd gotten off at was the CBD, and I'm like, this doesn't seem right. So I went down into a subway and had a look, and yeah, I was definitely in the wrong fucking place. But I couldn't work out how the fuck to get back, so I just sort of started walking back in the other direction, and I didn't have like a landmark to go off on this time. And so I mapped it out later, right? Obviously my phone was dead, so I couldn't use the Google mapping to work out my exact fucking traversal. But like I think what happened was I left Don Quixote from a different door to what I entered. And I think what happened with the subway was I did that again. And so when I walked back in the same direction, each time I was facing a different direction. And so I was just fucking like zigzagging my way across this fucking city. And it is fucking huge. It is so fucking big. Like, it's such a big city. It's just like this sprawling fucking mass of fucking buildings and stuff. So yeah, I walked for literally hours trying to work out how to get back until eventually, like, my feet are hurting, and I'm like, oh, I don't know what the fuck I'm supposed to do. And I turn a corner, and there's a sign, and it says Nagoya Castle, 1 kilometer. And I had walked all the way to the Nagoya Castle, which we had taken a fucking $20 cab back from to get back into the heart of fucking Nagoya. So I had walked a $20 cab ride away. I'm like, I can't do this. I can't, like, I'm clearly not getting closer to Nagoya. I have no idea. Like, I can't catch a cab back because I can't say, take me to Nagoya, because they're not going to fucking understand it, right? Like, I've got no, like, I don't know where the fuck I'm supposed to be going to. Like, Nagoya train station? That's not fucking helpful, right? Like, I couldn't find a Nagoya train station on fucking, anyway. I look at my way, like, just fucking walked into a subway and I caught a fucking train in what I thought was the correct direction. Managed to actually get to a train station that connected to the train back to the airport. I slept on the 45-minute train back to the fucking airport. I slept the entire way. It must have been something for the people sitting next to me, because I just didn't give a fuck anymore. I didn't sleep much on the plane, and I was just sort of like fucking dozing each way. I clearly took up more than one seat's worth in these fucking subway chairs. Yeah. What a nightmare. Anyway, I got back. Yeah, that was about it. Had dinner at the hotel, which I wish we didn't do, but we did. It was like French buffet. Yeah. I don't want to eat French in Japan. I didn't think it was that good either, to be honest. But anyway, next day the event started. So the event we were there for was the Rainbow Six Pro League Finals. Fantastic event. Like, staggering amount of people, considering how big an effort. Like, think about, like, I think about Gfinity Australia, right? I'm like, well, Gfinity, like, it was all the way out of Moore Park. It was a bit of a dickhole pain to get to. Like, yeah, people go to the SCG, but like, it's still, it's a bit painful. Nah, 4,000 people. They were fucking packed. They had 4,000 seats. They were sold out and they were packed. And the line was fucking huge. People were like hammering to get in to watch this. And like what made it even more staggering was that both Japanese teams had been knocked out before these finals.
Hmm.
Neither Japanese team made it to the fucking finals, which, yeah, staggering. So yeah, they all showed up to watch it. They were all fucking hella stoked. It was an awesome production. The fucking theme was like Neo Tokyo, like it was
Mm-hmm.
all like Tron shit. Looked sick. Yeah, they did the opening ceremonies. Just after the opening ceremony, just as the like first game was starting, I noticed that it was about I don't know 48 degrees Celsius in this fucking arena. I don't
Right.
know why, right? Like, like I guess because it was fucking cold outside. It was like 10 degrees outside, and yeah, easily 40 plus inside. So I just sort of left and went back to the media room to watch it from the media room.
Right.
Uh, Set up like a comfy chair right in front of the TV, chuck my laptop on my lap, and then just sort of fucking watch it from there
Mm-hmm.
because it wasn't 45 degrees in the fucking media room. Way better chairs in the media room, too. Anyway, yeah, so that was day one. Good games. Australia's team wildcard got knocked out in a fucking nail biter, and it was like right down to the final round.
Yeah. It's probably the best
Uh,
show match.
Best game, yeah, best match of the show. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, they were up against Navi, who eventually went on to win it. They were the only team that pushed them to like overtime. Um, so really, that was the real finals.
Double elimination. Every time I speak to them, I ask them about double elimination.
Double elimination and infinite overtime. I understand it's a logistical nightmare, but I don't give a fuck. Holy shit! You know what like was really like what I really took notice of was the finals, the grand finals for Rainbow Six Pro League took place at the same time as the grand finals of IEM Beijing.
Mm-hmm.
And I was very interested in watching IEM Beijing as well because 100 Thieves had made it to the grand finals against Astralis. They were, I think, like each map took around the same amount of time. Like Counter Strike map and Rainbow Six map took around the same amount of time, right? But there are like I don't know, like way more rounds. I don't know. It felt
Mm.
like they were getting through rounds in Counter Strike way faster than they were in Rainbow Six. It feels like there's a lot of like wasted time in Rainbow Six.
Well,
I
Rainbow's
just
got the setup phase, which is about a minute, and then you've got
yeah,
the
yeah.
is it 3 minutes?
Action phase. Yeah, I think it's 3 minutes. And you got picks and stuff, and yeah, like it's just I don't know. It feels like there's a lot of downtime. They need to shave it somewhere. I don't know where. I don't think you can get rid of setup phase. I don't think you can get rid of the training phase. I think it's too critical to what Rainbow is about. And you obviously can't get rid of picks and stuff. I don't know. There's got to be somewhere where they can shave the time down. Yeah, because it just felt like there was just a lot of inaction.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, that's not to say that the Counter Strike was better. It's just one of those like the way Rainbow works. It so regularly comes down to the last 15 seconds of a round. So maybe it's not necessarily inaction. It's just the downtime during the action phase is a little exacerbated as well. Anyway, night one, we went into Nagoya for dinner. Found an awesome ramen place. It was fucking great. We just sort of walked in off the street and they just yeah, sorted this out. It was really good. Found a craft beer place that was like a bit weird, but like good, like just weird. And then went to another craft beer place where I had literally the biggest fucking oyster I've ever had in my entire fucking life. It was the size of my face. It was fucking huge. I put a photo up on my Instagram of it next to a fucking medium beer. And my wife thought like I was making fun of the tiny beer. I'm like, no, that's a fucking regular sized beer next to the biggest fucking oyster you've ever seen in your life. Yeah, anyway, it was fucking delicious as well. It was really good. And yeah, just at this like hipster bar type thing. I don't know, it was rad. Yeah, so that was cool. And then second day, finals day, like just sort of hanging out. The Aussie team had been knocked out. We were just waiting around to chat with Wildcard. You were able to read that on Red Bull. Might chat with them by the time this is up. And yeah, watch the finals. I mean, it was a fucking awesome weekend for esports. We were saying this last week, but there was a lot going on. League of Legends and IEM Beijing,
PUBG.
Rainbow Six, and PUBG. And yeah, there's shitloads going on. So again, I was in the media room on my laptop, and I had Rainbow up on the big screen, and I had either the Counter Strike or the PUBG on my laptop. Yeah, I don't know, it was good. And then that night we went into Tokonami for dinner, and that was fucking surreal. So that was after the finals, and so we just sort of went out. We had like this big party of 8 with like Dev Mata, the caster, and like some other Ubisoft people, and we just went off find what's that grilled skewer Japanese food, yakitori. Went off to find yakitori. And we found a place, but they were full, so they sent us to another place. They literally gave us directions to another restaurant nearby, and so we went there. And it was like full blown. You got to take your shoes off. You're sitting on the floor, all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It was rad. Really good. It was the weirdest fucking place. It was the loudest fucking restaurant I've ever been in. There were only, I'd say, like 20 people in this place, but it was like the size of my lounge room, and so everyone was sort of sitting on top of one another, and so there were these 2 separate Japanese parties, and they were all like yelling at the top of their voices, which meant we had to yell as well. And it was just like crazy. Like at one point, they were doing like the AAP, smart chat. They weren't saying the words, but they were doing the claps, and like I just heard this clapping like out of nowhere, and I'm like, oh, okay, we're clapping. So I start clapping, and apparently that was it, right? Like that was the go sign, right? Because as soon as they heard someone else clapping, everyone in this fucking place, all of the Japanese people started clapping, and then 2 of the dudes like stood up and started fucking chugging beer. Like, all right, chugging beer. So I started like fucking hammering beer. And it was like fucking. This is it. This is how we communicate across the language barrier: clapping and chugging beer, and it worked out pretty good. And so had a bunch to eat there, had a lot to drink, and then we went and found this like Matt from Ubisoft found this fucking whiskey bar nearby. They had a fucking spectacular whiskey selection, and the bartender didn't speak much English at all, but he was still very helpful. So I ordered up some. I ordered hibiki because I wanted something like middle of the road. I didn't want to like blow out their budget or anything. I'm like, 2 neat, 6 with ice, and the dude's like, ice? I'm like, yeah, and he's like, no. I'm like, yeah, 6 with ice, and he's like, No. And then he goes and grabs like some like which one's called like it's like Nika Old or something, like just shit whiskey. He goes and gets shit whiskey. He's like puts it down on the bench next to the hibiki. He's like, ice, neat, ice, neat. I'm like, all right, all right. He didn't want to sully the hibiki with ice. He refused, like flat out refused. I'm like, yeah, you're the boss. And then yeah,
Otherwise, you leave.
it seemed like it was a fucking deal breaker for him. So anyway, yeah, cool. He pours the neat whiskeys, and then he like gets out these giant fucking cubes and starts stabbing them with fucking a chisel, and he chisels out a sphere and makes 6 spheres for the ice whiskey, and then serves it. It was fucking a show. It was like full blown. I'm like waiting for him to slip and fucking stab himself. It seemed like it was coming, but never did it. Never did it. And yeah, had those. Had a Yamazaki 12 bales. And then the next day, we went to Osaka because we were flying out of Osaka. So apparently, the way it went down was there were like no flights out of Tokonami Airport at like a reasonable hour. We would have basically had to fly out at 7 a.m., which would have sucked us. And so instead, if we took a train, took the Shinkansen to Osaka, then we would fly out of Osaka to Tokyo and back home again. Made sense to me. I didn't like, let's do it. Let's go. Yeah, we went to Osaka. It was fucking rad. We just walked around Osaka. Like, Osaka's rad. Like, I've been there before. I went there last year and walked around it. It's much nicer when it isn't fucking 38 degrees outside. But apart from that, probably the only highlight, or the big highlight, was we went to a Pokemon Center, which is basically just a big Pokemon store, and there's a Pokemon cafe next to it. And anyway, it was on the 9th floor of this department building. And we had a race to see who would get up to the 9th floor first. And I bet on the elevators, and everyone else bet on the escalators. And it seemed like a bad plan, the old elevator plan, because there were about 1,000 people trying to get into these elevators. So I went up one level and then got on the elevators up one level instead, which worked out very well. It was still crammed, like fucking a billion people. Elevators in Japan were fucking... They were a weird fucking scenario all weekend. When we were in the fucking hotel, right, on the last day, we got back after the finals, and like 2 entire busloads of Chinese tourists showed up, and they all went in at the same time, and they must have all been checked in by their tour guide because they all wanted to use the elevator at the same time. And it was the fucking most surreal shit. There was 3 elevators in this hotel, and none of the tourists worked out that you needed to swipe something to actually press the floor button. So what was happening was like fucking 40 people were cramming onto these fucking elevators, right? Like they were literally like sardines smashed into these fucking elevators, not pressing a button, and the doors would automatically close after a certain amount of time, no matter how often you put your fucking hand out to stop it. It would just like start beeping and like just close. And it was like the beep was like, I don't give a fuck anymore, I'm closing. And then it'd go up, like it'd just go up somewhere, right? And it'd come back down, and like there would always be like 2 extremely upset Japanese people hopping off this fucking elevator, and like 40 Chinese tourists still in there. And so it was literally like we were standing in the fucking elevator lobby, and it would just be like doors opening with 40 fucking people in it, close, go back up again, and then another fucking one would arrive. And what the fuck is going on here? Until like a lady from the front desk comes around, and she's like swiping and pressing. She legit fucking swipes and then hammers all the buttons and then puts her hand out and then up it goes. Anyway,
30 minutes later.
Right? It was seriously like so. Yeah,
And
they're
they're
all
still in
still in
there.
there. I'm like, why? Oh my god, it was surreal as fuck. Yeah, it was literally like a fucking comedy skit. Anyway, um, so I get into this elevator. It is fucking crammed. We get to the top. By the time we get to level 9, there's only me and this lady and her kid left. And the doors open. I let them out first. And little girl, she must have been like 3. I could not understand anything she said except for Pokemon. And she must have said Pokemon like 400 times in the space of 10 seconds. She's just like seen the Pokemon and she's like, lost it, like just fucking into like the Tasmanian devil. She's like spinning around trying to tell her mum there's Pokemon, and then she's yelling at the Pokemon and she's telling everyone there's Pokemon. She come up and run up to me and she's saying Pokemon, and I'm like, Pokemon. And then yeah, it was the fucking cutest shit I'd ever seen in my life. And then yeah, I went and stood at the escalator and waited for everyone else to finally fucking arrive. It took ages. Eventually, they made it up there. Anyway, on the way back down, right?
Hmm.
Again, I don't know what the fuck is going on, but we get to the elevators, and I'm like, we're standing there, and all 4 elevators arrive at the same time to go down, right? And the 2 Ubisoft peeps, they get into an elevator apparently alone, and like me and Nick got into another elevator in the other elevator. So again, let's do the 1, 2, 3, 4. The Ubisoft, like, elevator 1 was left empty. Elevator 2, just the 2 Ubisoft people. Elevator 3 was me and Nick, and fucking 40 Chinese tourists. Right? They all crammed. It was like they were following us around just to cram in a fucking elevators with us. Because seriously, there were fucking a billion people in this one elevator, and then nobody in the other one. There was nobody, and we couldn't get out to get in one of the other fucking elevators. We could tell they were all getting into this one elevator because we could see them all. Like, we got in first, turn around, and literally everyone comes into this. I'm like, we know the elevator is just a like, just get one fuck. Anyway, then we stopped at every floor on the way down. Nobody got in. Nobody got out. We just fucking went all the way down to the fucking bottom of this, stopping. It took fucking 40 minutes. We get to, oh my god, it was insane. Yeah, anyway. Elevators in Japan were a fucking event. I tell you what, they were something else. And yeah, what else? After that, that was it. That was about it. That was Japan. Went to the airport, flew home. All good. Didn't try to find some fucking more whiskey at the duty free. Failed miserably. And yeah, it was good.
Nice.
It was an awesome trip. Yeah, the games were awesome. I did not play any games on the planes, which was disappointing, but nevertheless, good stuff.
Some new content though.
Yeah, so they announced Shifting Tides, which is a rework of Theme Park. So I think I was saying this last week with the Halloween stuff, right? The Halloween map. I asked them, and yeah, the intention they had with doing Theme Park as the Halloween map was as like a last hurrah, and to really acquaint players with the differences, the changes they'd made to Theme Park, because they have made huge fucking changes. The whole rail, the like train area, that's gone. It's a lot like they've taken the color coding philosophy of Outback. Yeah, and they've sort of applied that here as well, which is easily one of the best fucking things they've landed on in terms of map design. Like, just bar none. It's clear, it's changed the way you look at so many maps. Yeah, like, yes, they got rid of another area as well, and as a result, like just they didn't replace these areas. They actually got rid of it and then folded the map in on itself. So it's a much smaller map as well, and that means it's a lot fucking quicker to get through. If I learned anything in the Halloween one, it was that it was a fucking big map. There were large sections of that map that I'd never fucking played before, like never even been to except in the Halloween event, because it was just too big and there was no fucking reason. Now, yeah, it's much tighter. There's much more reason to actually go everywhere. So yeah, that's worked pretty well. And then they've got two new operators. They've got Carly, and she's a sniper operator. She's got a bolt action sniper, the first bolt action sniper. It is a insta kill to the head, which is pretty par for the course. It's an insta down to the torso. It is not an insta down to limbs, but it is an instant down to the torso. I thought she was going to be fine. I thought she might be a little bit overpowered because they tend to release operators that are a bit overpowered in general.
Yeah.
There's a story on Red Bull where straight from the horse's mouth they said they did that on purpose because they want operators that people play more often than operators that they don't. But then I was talking to some of the pros. I was talking to the wildcard guys, and I was off the record talking to, or not off the record. I just wasn't interviewing at the time. They're in the fucking press room, so there's no reasonable expectation that they're off the record. They didn't say they were off the record. Just to clarify, okay, I'm just, when they inevitably hear this because they're obviously fans and they like lose their shit because they're like, that was off the record. They're in the press room. They didn't say off the record. If you don't do that, it's on the record. Anyway, I was talking to one of the guys, Nello from Navi, like just sort of casually chatting, passing time until he was doing an interview. And Navi won the Pro League finals. They were the champions. Yeah, I was like, oh, did you see the new operators? And like, oh, Carly's fucking broken. I'm like, oh, she's not that bad, is she? He's like, yeah, man, she's fucked. Like, fucked. It's gonna destroy Pro League. I'm like, yeah, what do you mean? He's like, oh, she's too powerful. We don't miss shots. Like, pro players don't miss shots. She's going to be an insta pick or an insta ban because you never miss a shot as a pro player. And so she is basically a guaranteed down anytime you see them. I'm like, yeah, but she's got a 12 by scope. It's pretty tunnel. And he's like, that doesn't matter. She's got it's 6-12. Like it's a two stat. So it's 6 or 12. Mm-hmm. It's 6-12. And like she's got the CZ as an alternate weapon. It's a SMG. Like, she'd be pretty good with her. Like, she would be a reasonable pick with her gadget and SMG, but she's also got an insta down. And I was saying, like in my interviews, they reckon that the ADS time's super long, and you got zero accuracy until you get there. Mm-hmm. He's like, it doesn't matter. Like, we just won't. We'll just go ADS everywhere. Like, we'll just be ADS the whole time. Like, most of the pro players holding a single angle anyway, you will just get one shot anytime you go on that angle. Like, it's it. And I'm like, fair enough. Yeah, that makes sense. Like, he's making a lot of sense. And yeah, the more you look at it, he is making a lot of sense. There's a lot to that fucking point, right? Pro League is where they're making like bullet hole peaks, like peaks the size of a fucking bullet hole, where all they do is shoot when they see a changing color past that bullet hole. Mm-hmm. Like, it's impossible for you to see that ahead of time. You have to know about the like that's meta knowledge. Being able to avoid bullet hole peaks is meta knowledge. It's not fucking, you can't react to that, right? And so then you cannot react to getting fucking one shot through that shit.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's a pretty fucking big deal. And then yeah, her gadget is a spear, which explodes on either side. So her gadget makes her a replacement Thatcher with a little bit more utility, because the spear makes a hole in reinforced walls. So you can use that to put more damage on site.
Mm-hmm.
But it also, because it's an explosion, it triggers a lot of extra stuff. Triggers stuff that the Thatcher doesn't. It doesn't. It doesn't trigger some things, but it triggers it. Like, it'll blow up Maestro camera or bulletproof camera or Goyo shield, or like a whole bunch of stuff. So yeah, it does all that stuff. She's got only 3, I think, maybe 2.
Mm-hmm.
She's got fewer spears than Thatcher does grenades, but yeah, like, there's a lot of utility there. I think like the theory behind her is sound. The idea being like creating a sniper that you want to take on site.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's all good thinking. But yeah, like, it's going to be tricky to balance for pro play. Or maybe they just go with it and it shakes up the meta, something wild. Because like, in general, Rainbow Six is pretty fucking like defender biased. Maybe this changes the scales. I don't know. The other one that we played with was the other new operator is called Wamai. And he's got the Jaeger alternative.
Yep.
And so it's a magnet that he throws, so he doesn't have to place it. He can throw it wherever, which makes it a little bit more complicated to like deal with in general, like a little bit more tricky.
Yeah.
Because it's not in fixed standing level locations, and yeah, it grabs projectile, and it grabs heaps. It grabs what's her face's Carly's spear. It grabs ash grenades. It grabs all that kind of stuff, and it drags it up to it, resets the timer on the explosion, and then pops it. So it can grab smokes and like put them like in different locations, flashbangs, grenades, etc., etc.
Yeah.
It only gets one at a time, but he builds them up over the course of a round.
Yeah.
Like Legion. So like Legion.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was really tough for me to get a fucking grip on. I feel like he's gonna be useful. No, like the pros just wanted to talk about Carly. So from a pro perspective, right? I've got no fucking idea how Wamai plays. Like briefly, I think at best I got like Silex, the coach of Wildcard. I think he said, "Oh, he's going to be picked." Because they've been looking for a Jaeger alternative for a while. But then they just went back to talking about Carly and how fucking broken she is. Yeah, like, pros just want to talk about Carly, and not pros, like, in the playtime that I had,
yeah,
nobody used fucking projectiles, so he's fucking useless. Nobody uses utility. Nobody throws a fucking grenade ever in a fucking casual match. Like, at best, maybe, yeah. I was taking Capoeira. No, what's his name? Capitao. I was taking Capitao because it grabs the Capitaos, and so I thought that was, at least it was interesting seeing that interaction. But when I played as Wamai, I never got to see it from the other side. Nobody threw a fucking flashbang. Nobody threw a fucking grenade.
Yeah.
Like, it just never fucking happened. So yeah, it was really hard to gauge his usefulness. So I'm basically all theory. He's got a fucking awesome. He's got an awesome gun. He's got the fucking um, org
Yep.
and mirror. So IQ's org and mirrors vector. Yeah, and so yeah, real good choice for weapons. He's 2 speed, 2 armor. They're both 2 speed, 2 armor.
Mm-hmm.
I asked them if that was the cop out version of making an operator, and they weren't impressed with that question. And yeah, it is the cop out version of making a character. So like, try something different. 3 speed or something. I don't know. It's been a while since we had 3 speed. Anyway, yeah, and that was about it. I think he's gonna be real interesting. I think he's definitely gonna get picked in like casual, unranked, and ranked. And yeah, according to Silex, he's definitely gonna get picked in pro play, just because of Jaeger gets banned a lot. Jaeger's got a little bit more roam ability because Wamai has to stay on site.
Sure.
Because they build up over the course of the round.
Yeah.
So his potential is wasted if he dies too early. But yeah, otherwise, yeah. Yeah.
I think you kind of weigh up the because obviously Jaeger's device can stop multiple projectiles. Is it 2?
Yeah. Yeah. 2 at a time, and they get 3. So yeah, they were saying that Wamai gets 5, and Jaeger technically can do 6 total. Yeah.
But he's able to place more around the place and also have them being tricky like spots, whereas Jaeger's is like you're kind of limited as where you can put it.
Yeah.
Whereas these
magnets, Jaeger, they kind of gotta go on site and then you bail the fuck out. Whereas Wamai, there's actually some like potential to put him in initial breach areas, like
in front of a door, like an entry door, but behind you, like next to a fucking pot plant or something. And so they throw it, and then all of a sudden it comes back to them, and it's like
yeah, exactly. I'm thinking about like trying to take top floor on border or something. Like on the entry on border, putting it on that what's it called, the TV room. On the windows on TV room, so that when they try to breach their way in, it just fucks that shit up.
Yeah,
and forces them to like slows them down. Little time management situations like that would be really interesting.
So I guess IQ can see the gadgets.
Yes, my guess. Which she was picked a fuck ton at the Pro League finals. She was already. So I think if you were going to go with my heavy strat, you would want to ban her, I think. Yeah. I think comboing Wamai and Jaeger would be a fucking desperate nightmare for attackers. It'd be so fucking tricky to deal with. Because there'd be so much utility you'd have to fucking waste just to get rid of him. So yeah. So it's an interesting one. Definitely an interesting character. I guess we'll see. Yeah, Carly took all the attention away though. Yeah.
Did you get to talk to any devs?
Yes. So I talked to Emmeline. I can't remember how to say his fucking name. I talked to the esports. I talked to Wei Lu. Fucking how good am I at names? Fucking here we go. Oh, come on. Where's the notes? Where are the notes? Fucking.
Sorry. You've done well.
I don't know where the fuck they are. Here we go. Francois Xavier, Wei Yu, Emilian Lawrie. So yeah, Francois FX they call him. Had a EMEA esports director, and Wayu Rainbow Six esports director. I asked them largely the same questions, like very similar questions about their successes and challenges for 2019. I was just sort of getting a broad overview of how they feel Rainbow's shaping up. Like I said, that 2020 is going to be a massive, massive year for Rainbow.
Rainbow
But
2?
Rainbow 12. Rainbow 12.
2?
Surely not. But yeah, they were saying that
PvE.
they've got all it's just PvE extra. They got so much to announce at 6 Invitational, which was sort of what they kept returning to, which is a bit annoying. But what are you gonna do? Still good chats. And Emily and Lome is a game designer on Rainbow Six Siege, and he's on the design team for a lot of different operators. And he was telling me, about the challenges there with DDoSing throughout the year and stuff like that, and how they've gone about fixing that. Didn't want to go into too many details because obviously you didn't want to, give up the game for people trying to make it happen. But yeah, so yeah, it was good chats, not heaps of time. I guess 15 minutes with each of them, but just one of those things, I guess. There is a event going on at the same time, and people are trying to watch that, and they're really good to talk to. FX is going to be a nightmare to transcribe because he's got a really thick French accent. But oh well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You didn't get to talk to Xavier?
Francois Xavier?
No.
FX?
No. Creative director.
No. Oh no, it wasn't there. They only had Emily and was the only one there.
Yeah, fair enough.
Still, yeah. Awesome event. Like, at the end of the day, spectacular event. I thought Tokonami was going to be a bit of a fucking dud. Because, it's not Tokyo. It's not one of the big three that people will think about when they think about Japan. Kyoto, Osaka, or Tokyo. But I think, there's just go anywhere in Japan. You find something fucking amazing.
Cool.
Yeah. And the event was rad. I'd love to see a Rainbow event come to Australia next year. Bring us the Pro League finals.
Yeah.
Anyway, maybe don't schedule it on the same fucking weekend as I Am Beijing, the League of Legends Grand Finals. Like, just fucking. Maybe we could have one weekend without fucking
everyone else.
I'm sure there's a weekend surely somewhere that doesn't have the grand finals for like giant fucking esports on. I don't know. Maybe it exists. Yeah. Anyway, good times.
Yeah, that's soon. Invitational is in what, February? Around then.
February, yeah.
Should be cool. All right, what else do we have that we can talk about? There we go.
Death Stranding?
There's a lot. You can go straight to Death Stranding.
Why is Death Stranding on this fucking list?
Because it's out now.
I don't give a fuck.
Came out.
Fuck this game.
Last week on.
Have you been playing it?
Friday. Yeah. So I got a code from Sony. Kind enough to send someone through. Very interesting game. I am very surprised that I guess.
Dear listeners, if Luke doesn't hate this fucking game, the podcast ends before episode 500 because I cannot fucking talk to him ever again.
Right.
I can't.
I'm very surprised that they actually sent this out 2-3 weeks in advance. Um, but well, we've talked about this in the past. Like Sony's been pretty good with giving
Yeah,
media like huge amounts of time with their
yeah,
titles.
they're awesome.
Yeah. The reason why I think it was strange for them is because I think it relies quite heavily on the social aspect of the game, like the multiplayer parts. And so I'm curious to talk about like your experiences with it compared to like what I've seen so far. Um, so to start off with, uh, the start of the game I think is fantastic. Like the opening cinematics, I couldn't. So I just got I got my new TV set up. I've only been in this apartment for like 3 weeks, 2 weeks. So I got my new TV set up. It's kind of like the first game that I've kind of sat down and played with on this TV. And
Mm.
I couldn't tell if I was watching a cinematic or if it was in-game footage, or like a mixture of both. And I still don't know. I think it was like actual real life, like FMV sort of stuff mixed
Yeah.
with CG elements.
Mm.
Because and then I just couldn't tell. I was like, this looks like in-game, but it doesn't really. It seemed like they were switching between the two. There was a part where it sort of has him driving on a bike, and you see the smoke from like the dust that's kicking up on the bike. And I'm like, is this in game? I don't. Anyway, the whole start of that game is really well done. And then just the walking around and the environments. It might be one of the best games of doing like terrain that I've ever seen. There was a moment where you come across that first waterfall and you see it off in the distance, and there are like rocks sticking out of the waterfall, and you can see the water coming down this drop, and the rocks sort of changing the formation of how the water is coming down there. Like in a normal game, you kind of just see like one sort of steady stream flowing down, but in this, it's got like it looks like an actual waterfall the way it would behave. You've got bits sticking out of it, and the sort of the physics behind it, and the way it's sort of interacting with the rocks and the formations on that wall, really pretty. And so for the first like 30 minutes, I was engrossed in sort of the design of how they've built the terrain. I think that the terrain is some of the best terrain you've ever seen in a game. It's really pretty. And then you start playing the game, and it is. We've talked about it. It's a game where you're basically an Amazon delivery person, or you're the postman in a futuristic world, and you're going from one place to another delivering items. Like it's a fetch quest basically. The entire game is a fetch quest where you pick something up and you take it to another spot, or you find something else on the ground and you take it to somewhere else, and that's the game. And for the most part, the game aspect of it is not like, it's not fun at all. It's very tedious. It's not like, it doesn't evolve much at all in terms of like what the thing you're doing. The entire game is basically what you do from the start of the game is what you're doing 20 hours in, which is where I'm at. I'm about 20 hours in the game so far. But
What chapter?
I think I'm in. I don't know. Maybe 3.
Have you made it Port City?
Yeah,
Port not City?
yeah. I'm way
Yeah,
past
yeah.
it. I'm basically like towards the south end of the map at the moment.
Okay, yeah, then yeah, you're in 3.
I think I'm on my way to the wind farm. That makes sense. Wind farm.
No, yeah, it does, but oh yeah, the wind farm, right?
Yeah.
I was confusing with. Never mind.
Right, and so there are so many mechanics in this game. Like, you look at what Kojima has done with Metal Gear Solid in the past, and it's, you can look at that game and see like the connections between them, the way that you slowly introduce to all these different mechanics, and they build up over time. Like you start off as a stealth game with a pistol, and then eventually you're getting crate drops and hooking people up to Fultons and shooting them off in the sky, and then decoys and just all this weird stuff that is slowly introduced every sort of 2 or 3 missions. And that's what this game does, is that it slowly introduces you to all these weird mechanics that you get. Like, you start off as a dude carrying boxes around, and then all of a sudden you start getting like exoskeletons, which allows you to carry more weight. And then you end up getting vehicles and floating trolleys that you can sort of carry behind you that you can now put your stuff onto. And then you can start building bridges and constructing ladders and putting rope up into weird places that are like hard to reach in order for you to like climb this environment. And so that game is constantly doing this stuff, and it feels like the game starts off at hard mode, and then the more you progress, the game gets easier and easier, which is a strange. It's really strange to me. Like, you don't feel like you're, I don't know. Like when I play a game, you feel like you should be like learning, and then they make things get harder and harder as you go, but they're giving you more tools to sort of deal with it. But this game feels like they just throw you in the deep end. You're trying to keep your balance all the time and hold all this. You're trying to hold all this weight on your shoulders, and then they keep giving you things to make that easier and easier. But by doing that, they're not throwing you anything else that's challenging. Like, the stuff that I'm seeing at the moment is the same stuff that I saw 1 hour into the game in terms of like combat or like the obstacles that they're throwing your way. There's nothing that they're like, oh, okay, now they're going to throw out this different type of enemy at you, or the BTs, like the invisible enemies that you can't see are going to do this now. Like, it doesn't go anywhere. It's the same thing I've seen for the last 20 hours. But they're giving you more things, and it's just like, I feel like I'm just running around now. It's so easy to get from one place to the other, just because of the way that they keep giving you all these new mechanics to use. Yeah, all right. And so I think, so I think there's a lot of cool like mechanics that they keep throwing in there, but they're not really giving you anything to do with it. They're just like, oh, now you can put these floating trolleys behind you and carry all your gear, but at the same time, like, you can only carry a certain amount of weight, and you need these crystals to make it run. And also, it's raining now, so you've got to try and find shelter. And they're not fun mechanics. Like, there's nothing fun about it at all. And even just the concept of like this timefall thing where it degrades all your items over time. Like, that's not a fun mechanic. And they introduce you really early on in the game. Like, the first 20 minutes, 10 minutes is like, oh, there's this rain and it degrades all your equipment and it makes you old if you stand in it and all this sort of stuff. But you need to seek shelter if it rains at all. I've not seen any shelter the first fucking 20 hours of this game whenever it's raining. Like they teach you this thing about like this idea and this concept about this rain, and then they don't let you do anything with it. Like, it's nowhere to be seen. So every time it rains in this game, I'm just like, well, there goes all my shit because I'm stuck in this area anyway. Like, I need to do this part. It's part of a mission. And also there's BT, so I need to stealth my way through it. And so now all of a sudden the gear I'm carrying is starting to get worse and worse, and my grenades are they're degrading and all that stuff. But in the back of my mind, I'm like going back to that thing of being like, oh no, but if you find shelter, you can rest, and then that'll blah blah blah. But it's like, that's not a thing that's happening. At least that first 20 hours that I've played, I've just gotten to the point where you can where I've unlocked the weather station and you can see where it's going to rain and when. But even then, it's like all you're doing is every 10 minutes, like the rain sort of switches on and it doesn't switch on, and you got to like plan your routes and try and figure out like, where should I be going. I just don't like that. Rain mechanic is an interesting idea, but it's just not. It's not fun. It's not, like, it's not a good. I don't feel like it's a good thing to have in there, especially when you're introducing this other mechanic that 20 hours in, like, it's a hassle at that point. That whole entire thing is just not enjoyable. And then 20 hours in, you're going to let me build shelters to avoid the rain and make it really easy for me to do that. So I don't know. the game keeps giving you all these interesting things to do and these interesting tools to give you, but I feel like I'm not using any of them because the entire time I am just walking around going from point A to point B. I think combat is terrible. I don't like. It's giving me all this stuff to use, like smoke decoys and bowlers to launch. Like you can shoot at them and sort of. You talked about this weapon last week. It's a bowler gun that you can shoot at people, and it sort of traps them and they can't move anymore. And you've dealt with that person once you do that. But I've not even fired one yet because I don't feel like I need to. I can literally run into a camp, just fucking punch everybody.
Yeah.
I've never felt like I don't think I've dropped less than half health in this game because I can just run into a place. They make this whole idea of you've got to stealthy way through because it's so dangerous and you got to drop all your gear, and if you go past a certain checkpoint, it like tags all the equipment on you, and that lets the enemies know that there's someone nearby. But the stealth in it is so bad. Metal Gear Solid has environments that you can use, and there's doorways and there's buildings and obstacles in between. This is just flat terrain with occasionally a couple of fucking rocks and some long grass and then sometimes some tents. And they're just, most of the time they're either patrolling or they're just standing in a spot. And for the most part, the stealth in it is just not good. Like, there's nothing enjoyable about that stealth. So I just run into a circle. I get tagged. My equipment gets tagged. Everybody rushes me. Like, 10 dudes start fighting me, and it doesn't matter because I'm Batman. I just punch a dude. He goes down, and I start focusing on the next guy. I've never had a problem with the combat at all. And they keep throwing me, like, here's some decoys, smoke decoys, and that'll knock people out. I'm like, I don't need to. I can just go punch everyone. I don't need to carry all this stuff.
The only reason I used the bowlers was because it was marginally more efficient.
Sure.
It's marginally more efficient to bowler some motherfuckers, kick him in the face, and then, yeah, it's like slightly less complicated than just hammering the fucking punch button at them. Because, like, they also miss, like, they'll come up with their big fucking spear move, and despite the animation definitely taking the spear through you, the electric spear through you, they still miss because it didn't lock the animation in, and yeah, you just sort of fucking, well, okay, cool. Punch, 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 punch. Done. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's and also they see you from way too far away.
Yeah. And there's no indication that they've kind of like building up to see you. At least I don't think. It's just kind of they see you or they don't. Like you don't get an idea of whether can like how far away do I need to be. It just does a bad job of that. So yeah, I think that particular combat with the mules is not very good. The fights with the BTs, which are these invisible floating things that you whatever. Eventually they can if you're stealthing around and they catch you, they can kind of pull you into the ground. It takes you to like a boss fight. The first time that happened, I didn't have any weapons at that stage, and so I didn't know what to do. So I just ran up to this thing and punched it. Nothing happened. Right. So then I was like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do now. And so I just kept running, and eventually I got out of like the boss area.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, is that all I need to do? Okay. The thing only hit me once as well.
Yeah.
And then eventually it got to a point where it's like the tutorial of here's how you deal with the boss. And it's boring. Like, you're throwing grenades at this thing.
Oh, it's the grenades. Yeah, right. Yeah.
And that's all you do in a boss fight. You just throw grenades.
Yeah.
And so I did that 10 times.
Oh, eventually you get a gun you can shoot. But...
Sure. Okay. Right. So I'm throwing grenades. And that's the boss fight. All right. Fair enough. So that's the only time I've done that in the 20 hours, which is when the game made me do it.
Yeah.
Because I'll ask you a question. In order for me to kill BTs, is there a way for me to kill BTs or not? It says like they're anti-BTs. Like, do I get anything out of killing them?
When you talking about BT, do you mean the boss or the...
Both. The floaty dudes.
Eventually you do get the ability to kill the floaty dudes. The bosses are super fucking easy to kill. I think it's 7 grenades.
Yeah.
And you get a fuck ton of crystals out of it.
Right.
a fuck ton of
But
crystals.
if I kill the boss BT, does that
Yep.
remove the floaty BTs from around the area?
Until timefall comes back. Yeah, it cancels the timefall in action, and then it'll stay gone until the timefall comes back through.
Does it kill all
So
of
it
them or just the one? The one
doesn't
that
kill
caught
them;
you?
it just disappears them.
All of them?
Like I don't know if they return
Yeah.
next time the rain comes back.
Yeah.
So I've gone through an area and I've removed all of the floaty dudes in an area,
Yeah.
and I didn't go back to the area to find out if they were still gone.
Right.
I just turned it into an area where it was raining,
Constantly. Yeah.
it's
Because
still raining
what I'm
constantly.
wondering if I can go to an area, just trigger the boss fight and just deal with it. Like that'd be so much easier than stealthing my
That's what
way
you do.
through.
That is literally what you do.
Because it's
That
not
is
even not that
the
it's
play.
easier, but it's just like it's just a pain.
Yeah, yeah.
Like I'm
That's
just
the easiest way to do it. It's you don't even have to fucking fight them. It's a 50-meter run. You run 50 meters in any direction. I put up a video on Twitter of doing it because I put up 3 videos yesterday, all from the one sequence of Death Stranding. The first one is me riding the hover dolly down a hill, like snowboarding, which was pretty cool. But when you snowboard into an area with BTs, the Odradrek
a
scanner,
flashlight. Yeah.
yeah, your flashlight, pops up. Right, that sequence is unskippable, and you can't control your character during it. So if you're fanging down a fucking hill at 40 kilometers an hour, right, the 3 seconds wherein your fucking flashlight pops up, uh, you cover about fucking 350 meters in that time. Like you just fucking pound through, and at the same time you're now in a BT area. Anyway, like I just fucking ate shit. I ate dirt, crashed, and then a couple of seconds later ran into a fucking BT because at the point where I was recording,
Mm-hmm.
my plan, right, my way of dealing with BT areas was to immediately find the closest fucking BT, the closest floaty dude, run into him, and then just deal with the boss. And either, if I had a gun, I'd throw fucking 2 grenades at the cunt and shoot him, or if I didn't have a gun, I'd just run. And in the video sequence, you can see it takes me that it spawns 2 bosses. It spawns 2 bosses, which should be a hairy boss fight. But I run for 50 meters in one direction. As soon as I hit the grass, I can turn back. And I do it in the video on Twitter. I turn back on the fucking boss. And it is literally right there. I turn back on it, but it won't attack. I know it won't attack. So, yeah, when it disappears after I've left the area, like technically I exited the boss area, it's a sunny day. Like I cancelled the BT
Yeah. Right.
area.
Yeah.
It doesn't exist anymore. It is the fastest way to deal with it.
Yeah.
The only reason you wouldn't do it is if you had something that you could not, like, that cannot get damaged. There are a couple of items in the game where any damage at all is enough to trigger a hard fail.
Like pizza.
Pizza, hourglass, and antimatter bomb.
Yeah.
Those are the 3 off the top of my head that I can remember being a hard fail if you drop them. And so those are the only times when, yeah, you absolutely cannot seriously just do this technique, which is to run into, like, even if you've got a fucking, at worst, right, running around and picking all your fucking boxes back up is still faster than crawling your way through a fucking area. Like, still way faster than slowly crawling your ass through a fucking area.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, and humans. If you're carrying a live human, then it is not faster to run into a BT. They lose their shit. Yeah. Otherwise, yeah, you're way better off just fucking triggering the BT, running out of the area, or
Yeah.
killing the BT. I kill the BT most of the time just so I've got enough fucking crystals. Although by the end of the game I had about 5,000 crystals, so you can't spend those fast enough eventually. But it is the most efficient way to fucking kill them.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe I'll go just try that. We'll see what happens.
Got no reason not to.
Yeah. And so a combat. I'm just not like I just don't understand. Like what it feels like it should be harder, or at least like I don't know. It's just strange. And then you've got the buildings and social side, which so I want to talk about this. I got the game. You got it like 2 weeks early. I got it about a day before it released. And so when I started, the whole social aspect is like you're basically going from these different regions within America and connecting them to this network by completing tasks. And every time you go into an area, it's sort of desolate and there's not really a lot going on. And that's where you start like trying to place items, like build either bridges or put down ladders to try and cross a river, or ropes to let you scale up or down a mountain. And so you're carrying all this stuff, you get to a point, you unlock the region, and then it connects it to the network, and suddenly it opens up the social aspect of the game, which is you can start seeing other people's creations and what they've built in the game. And yeah, I feel like that's the part where a lot of reviewers might have missed a huge chunk of, or like a big chunk of this game. Because when I was running around, I could see the people, like, I was literally seeing games writers or games media's creations when I jumped in. One of the first ones I think I came across was like Jim Sterling's like post box or something like that. And then I started seeing some other familiar names throughout the world. So eventually where I got past I started building my own stuff in the game. And then I got out of what I feel like was the tutorial area. And the tutorial area is maybe 8 hours, 7 hours, somewhere around there. And then I got to the next bit and then started building like roads and highways. And I don't know if you did any of this stuff, but I've built a crap load of roads in this game so far. And then I logged in the next day, and this is the day the game then came out, and I had a stupid amount of likes, like a ridiculous amount, to the point where it leveled me up, I think about 50 levels. And this is now everybody from the public jumping in and seeing all this stuff, and when you interact with these objects, you get likes, or like people use them, whatever. And I literally jumped up about 40 to 50 points in that one category. And I feel like that's a massive aspect that you guys probably missed out on, because even though you're leveling up, you're unlocking all these additional items to use and things like that as well. And I've seen a bunch of players that have finished the game, and I've surpassed them by a lot on that particular stat. I think I'm at about 70 at the moment on the bridge. Is it called bridge or something like that? Yeah, I'm at about 70. This is 20 hours in. So I'm definitely getting a different experience to what reviewers have played at the moment.
You're not. You're absolutely not. I mean, if they didn't build the road, then maybe they won't have that experience.
Sure.
But I got to 74. I built 2 roads, and I got 74 in the space of 2 missions. I got fucking 45 levels. I built the road, went to sleep, woke up the next morning, did a delivery, and then I got all those likes in that one delivery. Yeah. So I got to fucking a billion fucking levels all in one go, and then I did another delivery and I got another 30 fucking levels.
Yeah.
Like I went all the way to, and as far as I can tell, it caps out at around 75. Like you don't get more than 75 because I'm just not getting likes anymore, right? Like I get a bunch of fucking likes, and it just does like a sliver of level 74. Like you were still 100% able to get a fucking billion fucking likes. I think it only matches you up with like 12 or 15 other players. So even when there were only 100 reviewers out in the world playing the game,
Mm-hmm.
or maybe 200 reviewers out in the world playing the game, yeah, you were still like, because of the way it selects people for your
Group, yeah.
world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what it's
Uh,
doing, from what I can understand, is it's grabbing like random people, but it's also refreshing that group every once in a while, and that's where the connections can come in, where you can go, oh, I want to keep playing with this person, and so you can go
yeah.
through your list and be like, oh, there was a name in there like like Solid Snake 23 or something like that has liked
Mm.
400 of your buildings or whatever. Like, oh, okay, so I'll go and let's start a connection with this person, and then all of a sudden that now I guess moves them to the top of the list, being like, oh, whenever we, fire up one of your instances or whatever, we'll pair you guys together now.
Yeah.
And so I think you can start doing that sort of stuff. Like if I saw your name out in the world, I could then go, oh, let's get Joab in here and let's connect him up. And so I don't know how many I've got, but
That'd be a pro player move, by the way, if anyone's listening and they're playing this train wreck of a game. By the end of it, if you have seen me and you've liked me enough to form a connection with me,
yeah,
you are going to have the easiest fucking time, because I created a giant network of fucking zip lines and leveled them all up to level 3, so they should still exist. They shouldn't have been destroyed yet, and you can use that to literally just fucking zip. It goes to every major point of the mountains. When you get to the mountains, you will understand why I'm the fucking best. Because yeah, it is such a pain in the dick to get around those mountains. Except if you got zip lines that go bloop 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 bloop,
yeah,
and then yeah, they go everywhere as well. You can get to any fucking location, any like major hub
yeah.
in the mountains, straight there on the zip lines. It's fucking amazing. I'm
Yeah.
a fucking genius.
And so that's the interesting thing
That's-
about the social aspect, is that you go through an area and you kind of do it your way, and then it connects you to everybody else, and then all of a sudden you see the ways that other people have done it, and you're like, oh, okay, that's smart. Like I've looked at ropes and been like, I did not think of that. Like climbing the side of a building and then, going up that way as opposed to like walking the entire way around this thing. So there's like interesting aspects in terms of like showing you how other players are thinking, and then seeing how many other people have then gone and used their stuff. So like I think that stuff is really fascinating. But the thing is that they give you all these tools to use, and you can't really the traversal stuff is really interesting, but it's not it's not fun doing any of that stuff. Like you've given me all these different ways for me to get around and maneuver this environment, but at the end of the day, all I'm doing is moving a box from one side of the map to the other, and like that stuff is fun. And so yeah, I think that's where the giant misstep of the game is.
Like the other thing is that like the other part to what you're saying is that like they fail to incentivize you to do anything that's fun, right? Like the zip lines are fun, I guess, ish,
Sure.
or like they're fun like once or twice, but then it's literally just waiting for a cutscene to end. Really, like you just sort of sit there and wait. Like you don't. There's no agency. You don't have any fucking input. You're just waiting for a railway line to finish, and then you pick the next fucking destination, right? Or riding on the hoverboard is fun, but yeah, it costs you crystals, so you have to go farm crystals, and there's all kinds of reasons why you shouldn't do it. Like, yeah, if you run into a BT area, you get sort of fucking locked in and crash and fuck everything up. Yeah, like, and you can't really carry stuff on your back while you're doing it. Like, there's all the fun things, right, are directly at odds with efficiency.
Yeah.
And this is something I run into a lot in games. At some point, like you can have fun, right? Games can have fun elements, and they can have efficient elements. And if you have to do something a lot, it needs to be, those two things need to marry, right?
Yeah.
If you're going to have to do the same thing over and over again, then efficiency and fun need to align, or else people aren't going to have a good time. Right? So,
or it doesn't even need to be fun. It just needs to be, I guess, engaging, or at least
yeah,
could be challenging as well.
Fun's not the word. Engaging is definitely the word. So, yeah, think about like DayZ, right? DayZ's a game where, you spend a lot of time fucking walking from one location to another, right?
Sure.
But there's an engaging element about it in the idea that something could go wrong at any time,
Sure.
right? And so there's there's an engaging element about it in the idea that you are, well, in most of the time playing with other people, right? Like friends. So, playing with friends allows it to be a little bit more engaging without it being while still being vaguely tedious, right? And then the terror of there being someone just around the corner adds to it again, and then the actual destination adds to it again, and so you wind up with enough layers to actually get to something that is worth doing, at least for a little while. Or World of Warcraft is another example that uses social aspects to sort of make up for, sitting there and chatting with your friends in guild chat makes up for the fact that you're killing 10 boars over and over, and getting better loot makes up for the fact that you're killing 10 boars over and over. And getting dinging is that all these things layer on top of one another, so that you eventually get to a point where, the most efficient way to get to the next level is to complete the quest where you kill 10 boars over and over. So you may as well kill 10 boars over and over. And it's not such a chore because you're doing it with friends, or you're getting better loot, or et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. None of these things happen in Death Stranding. You don't get any of this stuff. Nothing you get, you're not incentivized correctly. You don't play with friends. The social aspect is removed. Yeah. You're not actually playing with anyone. Your incentives to do anything are non-existent, because likes are meaningless, right? Like, you earn likes to earn more likes. It's fucking pointless. And the traversal itself isn't engaging, because it's just walking somewhere, right? Like, there's no threat, there's no concern. You just sort of fucking do it.
Yeah.
Eventually, once you work out how easy it is to avoid BTs or to just destroy BTs, there's no fucking challenge.
Well, so the challenge they completely remove from you, because at the start of the game, you are literally you're trying to balance. It's a balancing act, right? Oh, my stuff is going to the left, so you hold the right trigger to steady yourself, or your stuff then shifts to the right and you hold the left trigger. And then you start getting this exoskeleton, and that allows you to carry more weight. And I'm an exoskeleton 2 or 3 at the moment.
Yeah.
And that doesn't happen anymore, because I can now carry 320 kilos worth of stuff, but they cap you at how much stuff you can carry in terms of a height limit. And so I'm at 150 kilos most of the time, which is a walk in the park for this guy, unless I'm carrying 5 or 6 extra large items, and then that's weighing, that weighs a lot more. But even at that stage, I'm still hitting that cap of you can't carry anything else on your back anymore. And so that challenge is now gone for me, because I'm just past that threshold of this stuff just doesn't matter anymore. It's just super easy. They give you these suits to let you carry more weight, but it doesn't matter, because you can only carry a certain amount of stuff anyway. It's a weird system. If you were let me carry as much shit as I want, let me fucking stack it up to to as high as I can get it. And then let me play with that threshold of you've gone too high for your limit. Now you got to balance this stuff and actually think about where you're walking, and because that stuff is mapped in the game. You hit the button and it shows you the best path you should take. This is pretty steady terrain. This stuff is going to cause you a little bit of problems, and then this stuff here is like you probably want to avoid that. And they give you that really early, and they make you learn that system, and then it completely disappears after the first couple of hours because there's no point in using it anymore, apart from when you want to cross a river.
Yeah, and then like once you run into that, you get a vehicle, and you're like, well, okay. None of the rules matter on a vehicle, right? There's no such thing as balance on a vehicle. There's no such thing as fucking. There are weight limits, but they don't fucking matter on a vehicle. You just fucking.
You just ping it.
Like even like you stack as much shit as you can on your back, right? Even if you don't have an exoskeleton, right? And you're walking you're doing these like staggered fucking half a fucking meter every 10 seconds step, right? You just park your fucking bike next to it, right? Park your bike next to the boxes, and then you load it up on your back, you jump on the bike, the weight limit doesn't matter anymore, the balance doesn't matter anymore, you just fucking ping off. All right, cool. Okay, so you have literally introduced a system to render your painstakingly crafted systems obsolete. And then trucks are even worse because at least on a bike, a BT can actually catch you, right? Like you can actually boost your way out of a BT zone if it grabs you, but the timing on it is it's pretty fucking finicky. But on a truck, it takes them so long to actually get up to the fucking door and drag you out that there's no chance. By the end of the game, I was just driving a truck. I just drove a truck back and forth. And like the rain would start and the fucking torch would pop up, and I'd be like, I don't give a fuck. And I'd just fucking plow straight through floaty dudes, and the tar would come up, and I'd just fucking keep driving. I don't give a fuck. Peace out, baby. Like, it doesn't matter anymore. So not only have you rendered balance moots and weight limits moots and fucking the traversal moots, you've also rendered your fucking BT system moot. So essentially, the most efficient way for me to play this game is to get in a truck, drive from one location to another, and it's not an engaging, like, the challenge is the fact that, but the only challenge that's left is that, the truck itself is a fucking Nissan Cube, and anytime there's a rock, I'm going to get fucking stuck on it for some reason, and that's about it. So if I know I'm coming up on a BT area, I just see a path without any fucking rocks, and I plow across it, and that's it. That's the game, I guess, is me driving a truck from one place to another. Oh, but Joab, you don't have to do that. Oh, you can play the game and you're removing the challenge from yourself. No, fuck that. Okay, it is the fucking game developer's responsibility to meld incentivization and fucking challenge. It is not my responsibility to play a game to challenge myself further. Dark Souls and this game are so alike in so many ways, except it's clear that Kojima didn't learn anything from Dark Souls. Like, they're so alike. They do so many fucking similar things. There's horror. There's like the fucking path to discovery. There's the asynchronous fucking multiplayer. There's all these things, right? That Dark Souls and Death Stranding share in common. They both have DS in their fucking names, but clearly, right, the idea of challenge to Kojima is you make your own challenge. Is you like it is the only reason you would play a Dark Souls is if you were a one bro, right? Ignore literally everything else in the game. Dark Souls is balanced towards playing it correctly. The most efficient way to play Dark Souls is to level up regularly and discover more about the game world and get through it as best you can, right? And then you get to the end and you feel the sense of accomplishment, the achievement and accomplishment that EA wants everyone to fucking feel, right? Death Stranding, right, is if you were to deliberately not use any of the game tools it has taught you or given you, if you were to specifically ignore all of that shit, then you might actually feel any kind of challenge and get a rewarding game experience out of it. But if my theory is, and like this is like the reverse, I'm going to sound like a full wanker here, right? My theory is honestly the players who loved it, like the reviewers, the critics who tend it, my theory is they're not very good at games. That's my theory. My theory is they're not very good at games, and so they never arrived at a place where they understood how simplistic Death Stranding is to break, to dismantle,
Yeah.
as at a gameplay level. And that's why, like, that's not a criticism of them as critics, because I've read, I think, every fucking review, and most of them don't explain, most of the tens don't explain it to me in what I feel is a satisfactory way why they've given it a 10. Like, there's always like the question mark part, right? It's step one, gorgeous visuals. Step two, fascinating story. Step three, question mark. Step four, 10 out of 10. Right? There was one trusted reviews that I felt went deep enough into the experience that the reviewer had that I understood how they could come out at a 10. I 1000% don't agree, obviously, but I understand it, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I think even in that one, it felt like they weren't taking advantage of what the game offered, and I couldn't get a sense of whether or not they were doing that on purpose or by accident. My having played at review events for the last decade, my assumption is that they were not taking advantage of these systems because they weren't aware of them.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they weren't aware of, like, I'm not saying that they weren't aware of systems in general, right? I think most of the reviews I read were well written, and clearly, like, critical analysis existed, right? I'm not saying they weren't aware of the systems in general. I think they weren't aware of how to utilize the systems in the most efficient way.
Right.
That is
the thing I spoke about, where like, oh, they give you the smoke decoy. Oh, maybe I'll
Yeah.
go use that. No, just fucking walk in and punch everybody.
exactly that, right? Like, if you never get to the point where you're like, well, yeah, if you never arrive at the point where you're like, well, I can take on 16 mules at once, and it's not a problem. Like, it's never going to be a problem. And you're like, wow, so I can I'll throw out this fucking smoke thing, and then I might throw this box at this dude, and like, then I'll like run over here and I'll bowl this guy, and then I'll hack the fucking post box, the mule post box, and grab the stuff and run away, right? Maybe there's an engaging gameplay loop in that, right? But if you are immediately aware that you can just punch every cunt in the fucking area and just walk away, like, grab what you need and walk away, there's
and then
nothing
come
engaging
back,
there.
because that's what I do.
Yeah.
I just farm these places.
Yeah, exactly. If you get to a point where you are literally farming the monsters in the game, then I cannot imagine how you would feel like the systems in place are engaging enough to be like high quality, right? And if I know this isn't happening, but if anyone who loves the game, utterly loves it, and feels that like what I'm doing is misrepresenting their position, right? I'm not saying they're bad at video games in general. I'm saying that they are not playing like competitively, right? Competitive gaming is playing at the highest possible level of efficiency. So players who play like you and I, right, are hyper competitive gamers, right? Most of our hours get poured into games that involve competitive multiplayer. if that is your play style, I do not think that you will. I don't think Death Stranding is for you, right? But if you're listening to this and you feel like you are a competitive gamer, like a gamer who is competitive, and you also love Death Stranding, I'd love to hear why or how. I would honestly, I'm like, I wouldn't shit on you. I would not shit on you. My mind boggles. Like, I'm fucking at a loss, honestly.
Yeah, I saw an article before we started recording that said Gone Home is the most influential game of the last decade. And I nearly fell off my chair.
Yeah, that's certainly a take. It's certainly a position. Yikes. Yeah, like I don't know, man. I'm just, yeah, I'm not trying to criticize people who like it. Honestly, I'm not trying to shit on people who enjoyed it because, everyone likes different things, right?
Yeah.
But I do think on some fundamental level, the trend I see among those who tend it is that they might not be the most efficient game players. They are the sorts of people who would go to a multiplayer review event. They're the sorts of people who, yeah, I went to the Titanfall 2 review event and murdered every motherfucker nonstop, right? Or you went to the Call of Duty multiplayer review event and you were playing on a fucking platform you don't play on, and you were still like, what was that fucking screenshot you shared? 27-3 or some shit? Like,
something like that, yeah.
You're still ripping every motherfucker up, right? We arrive at the most efficient playstyle really quickly, and I think Death Stranding is not made for people who do that at all. If that is something that happens, and like, the problem, right, with discussing it on a fucking podcast is that you don't necessarily need to arrive at that location all on your own. Like, this is some fucking glass shatter shit, right? Like, us talking through how fucking easy it is to kill mules or disable mules, right, is not something you can forget now, right? Like, having listened to us talk about Death Stranding, I worry that we have irrevocably ruined Death Stranding for some people. Because you can't forget it. Like, you could choose not to use that information, but the information still exists. You're still aware of the information, and so, yeah, it's one of those things where you don't move. Like, people who maybe didn't arrive there on their own because they haven't played it yet or whatever.
Yeah,
they won't be able to unknow that, right?
Right. Yeah. So, like I said, I think it's an extremely fascinating game. There's so many interesting mechanics that are in here. It's just like it doesn't come together at the end. You start seeing how things break away. You're like, oh, well, I can just do this instead.
Yeah.
So I feel like I'm going to keep playing it because I kind of want to see where it goes, and also just critically just to know how things end up. But
sure.
I don't know if I'll be spending as much time on it because I've been what is it today? Wednesday. I've nearly played it for about a week, in between doing personal stuff and that sort of thing. So I feel like I'm about 25-ish hours in or something around there. I'll probably start to slow down a little bit. We've got some other games coming out within the next couple of days, but I'll definitely keep playing it because I just want to see how it evolves over the end. Like, I've just gotten to a point where like I know you've talked about being able to get weapons and things like that. Like, I'm nowhere near any of that stuff.
I think you're pretty close.
And I feel like I'm sort of in the same. Like, I'm just starting to, like, I want to see how it evolves in terms of how, like, this road that I've built is now slowly coming towards the bottom and other people are adding to it. I think that stuff is really cool. Like, the going to post boxes and seeing things that other people have left for you, like, that have shared, and being like, oh, I could use some of those metals. Like, I'll grab some of that and I'll take that to the thing I'm trying to build. Or, like, giving you a pair of boots, or just stuff people have lost and trying to return it back to them. Like, that stuff is really interesting in terms of, like, a mechanical standpoint. It's just in a strange game that like the core part of the game isn't fun, but there's all these cool things around it that are really super interesting. Like, if he went and made a Metal Gear Solid game, not saying that you should go back and make that, but if like some of these mechanics were in a Metal Gear Solid game, like the social aspects would be super
Yep.
fascinating.
Yeah.
But instead, it's in like this weird Amazon delivery dude game that
Yeah.
is extremely tedious. So yeah, I think there's some cool ideas there, but it's just executed not as well as I'd hoped it would be. But I'm definitely gonna keep playing it because I'm super fascinated by what's going on.
Yeah. Did I talk about killing people last week?
Yeah. So I'm not even
Yeah.
anywhere near that. Yeah, how you did the
Yeah.
test?
The experiment.
I think it was 48 hours. You said at the start of the game, but I don't know what that is in
48.
game time. Yeah,
Okay. Yeah. Right. 48. Okay.
I think you said 48 hours.
Maybe I'll do another test.
Yeah.
It's not like there's a day-night cycle, so I don't really know how to pass time
Right.
for 48 hours beyond skipping 48 hours.
I've been skipping a lot of
Tedious.
cutscenes now. Like, I think I went the first 15 hours not skipping stuff until I realized it was literally the same thing you're watching over and over again. So now
Yep.
I skip a lot of cutscenes, except unless the story stuff I don't cut. But if I'm like dropping off materials, like I like him that everything is so physical. Like you see him put the stuff on the tray and like the boxes are there, and it's not just a stock animation of like it's just a single box. Like you see the stuff you put on the tray and off it goes and it disappears.
Yeah.
Like, but 15 hours in seeing that all the time, it's just like, okay, yeah, just skip.
Yeah.
I wish it was one less button, because at the moment it's two buttons. I've gotten very good at doing that, but occasionally it'll be like, oh, you can't actually skip this. You have to pause it, and that throws me off sometimes. But
Yeah.
yeah. I'll still keep playing it because I'm sort of interested to see what other mechanics unfold, and because, like I said, every hour or two, it throws in something new to you. So something new kind of unlocks, and yeah, I want to see where else it goes in terms of this story because it's pretty stupid at the moment. I want to ask you a question. What would your name be in this world? Would it be Joab Video Game, or would it be Joab Critic, or Joab
I
Journo?
actually did this. Polygon, I think it was, put together a how to create your Hideo Kojima game name.
Right, I haven't seen this yet.
Yeah, and it's got like a whole bunch of questions, and it's not just for Death Stranding, but I rolled a 6 early on, and so I had to create 6 different names. I only got up to 4 before I got bored. But apparently, my name would be Jogging Jacketman. And the way it determined that, so it's you roll a bunch of dice, but how the fuck did so I think jogging is. There was a question: what would you really like to see Mads Mikkelsen do? And I said I'd like to see him jogging around a park. It's a really cold and wintry park. And then it's like take one word from that. So jogging and jacket. Why is it jackets? Why the fuck is it jackets? I gotta look this shit up. I gotta find. Nope, that's not it. Fuck. Hang on. Here we go. The figure out Kojima name, and then it's got all kinds of questions. It's got like, what is the object you'd least like to be stabbed by? How many carrots do you believe you could eat in one sitting if someone was to force you to eat as many carrots as possible? What was the last thing you did before starting this worksheet? Oh yeah, what is the last word of the title of your favorite Kubrick film? For me, it was Full Metal Jacket. So Jacketman.
Jacketman.
Oh yeah, and I got the man modifier because I rolled a 4 on the man condition. But other names, because I have 6 names for some reason, 6 other alternate names. Other names I have are Spoon Submarine, Old Critic McCready, and Big Critic Fox Terrier. So I think Big Critic Fox Terrier would be my Metal Gear name.
Hmm.
Old Critic McCready would be another Metal Gear name. Spoon Submarine, I have no idea. Spoon Submarine is what object would you least like to get stabbed by? And I said a spoon. And what is a piece of military hardware that you think is cool? I said submarine because I just watched that fucking submarine movie.
All right.
Yeah. So yeah. Fascinating. Yeah. Oh my god, there's news. I just saw the fucking greatest news. I just got it sent to me. Nolsey's completed his team.
Okay. We'll get there.
His amazing team. We will definitely get
Okay.
there, but it's
We got
spectacular.
a bunch more to talk about. Holy crap.
Oh yeah.
All right, yeah. So we'll talk about more Death Stranding next week. Let's go on to Battlefield 5.
Yes,
We were supposed to
Battlefield
talk about this
5.
last
So we were
week.
supposed to talk about this last week,
Yeah.
but we didn't. The Pacific Theater is out. It's fucking amazing. I fucking love it. Both maps are rad. I only played Iwo Jima for fucking 10 minutes. I keep being put on the other one, the Pacific, whatever the fuck. What's the map called? Pacific Theater Maps BFE. Real helpful. Real fucking helpful. All you need to know. Where the fuck are the maps? This is EA's site and they can't show me the fucking map. You fucking pricks. Pacific Storm. Yeah, so you got Pacific Storm, Iwo Jima, Iwo Jima, whatever the fuck. Yeah, Iwo Jima, I only played for 10 minutes, but it gave me strong vibes of the classic Iwo Jima from BF2. BF 1942. Pacific Storm is a brand new map. It's awesome. It's got this real good progression. Starts off with like a beach landing, which is obviously sick. I honestly didn't think they'd do it in Battlefield 5, and they did. So it works really well. Starts off with beach landing, really strong holes. We're playing Breakthrough. Breakthrough actually really works on Pacific Storm. I haven't played it in Conquest yet, but definitely works in Pacific Storm.
I think the playlist they've got is for Breakthrough.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I think if you want to play Conquest, you have to you'll play it in the normal rotation.
Yeah.
And I only want to play the Pacific Theater maps for a little while, so yeah. Moves sort of deeper into the islands, just sort of like classic style jungle type map, and then it finishes. The end of Breakthrough is like all the way on fucking in a mountainous area, and it feels like a really cool progression of a map, like a really good fucking step by step. Been playing with Frisco, Kleb, and Nate, and Nate is scary good at Battlefield. Like, it is a shame that Battlefield never became an esport, because I don't think he would go pro. I mean, he's fucking amazing, but I think he'd be better. Yeah, true. But like, you can say the same about lots of pros, right? But yeah, I think he would coach like a fucking gun. His ability to he calls shit out. He calls strats on the fly so fucking quick, and makes up puts together ideas. His call outs fucking amazing. He's really good. Frisco's awesome as well. He's fucking gun. He hits his shots. He's clearly played a fuck ton of Battlefield. Kleb was good. Kleb was good at shooters. And then there's Jobo. I'm there as a medic. I'm a medic. Everyone needs a medic. Getting my fucking points just by reviving people. Occasionally I get some kills. I put up a fucking clip of me going ham with a sword. Did you see that fucking clip? It was fucking amazing. Just sworded like a bunch of motherfuckers. So the sword is like a item you can pick up on the in the game world, and yeah, it's a one hit kill, and it's not difficult to deal with a person with a sword. Like they're still just as fucking tough as anyone else.
Mm-hmm.
They don't become tougher. It's just something about someone running at you with a fucking sword, like swiping everywhere, is extremely unnerving. Like we definitely got squad wiped as like against the sword dude, and it should not have happened. But at the same time, you're like, I was just sort of shitting myself. Like
Mm.
he's just all over the place, and I didn't know what to do. Yeah, you definitely panic a little when you get rushed by a sword. But yeah, we've had fucking when we're on defense, our team will generally hold the first point
Mm-hmm.
until like almost until the end. The only time we get pushed off that point is when our shithole teammates fail to hold. Like as a single squad, we can hold A on our own, and the rest of our team cannot hold B. And the fucking enemy team literally gives up trying to take A. They literally give up trying to take A until they've taken B, because we just fuck them up like non-stop. They just cannot get a foothold on A. And yeah, as four people, we can hold fucking A indefinitely, or at least until they get B, and then yeah, terrible team fails to fucking help us out. Yeah. Anyway, there was that, and then on attack, it's just fucking real satisfying to like find unlikely angles to get a push in. Like I think the reason four people can hold A indefinitely, especially if the four people are me, Frisco, Nate, and Kleb, is because it is difficult to get to. Like it's a challenging point to actually attack
Hmm.
without taking casualties on the way in. There's it's not B's quite easy to sneak into, so you definitely need more people holding B. But yeah, finding unlikely angles to attack B at is super satisfying. The other thing we were doing was going in and sneaking on A, and even when there were like a couple of squads at A, yeah, if it was our squad, we were generally able to like I'd go medic, um, Nate would go combat sniper, and I think Frisco was going like support, and Kleb was going assault, or maybe two assaults. But yeah, we'd sort of like bust our way in on A, and because Nate was combat sniper, we'd have the fucking beacon down somewhere nearby, so we could always like get back in the fight real quick.
Mm-hmm.
If we all got wiped. And yeah, we're just like fucking pounding in through that, and we'd take A that way. A to B is so much easier. Like B folds so quick if you've already got A. B to A is a little bit more difficult. And then yeah, after that you move back like further into the island, and like some of the points there are just fucking hairy as fuck. They've got like you're running up a fucking hill. You've got emplaced guns shooting down on you. You're dropping into like a full blown like just a kill zone, really. So that's tricky to deal with as well. Like, yeah, there's some really clever fucking points, and some really fucking uh, like tense moments all over the place. You get the flamethrower and just fucking burn cunts. Shut off entire avenues of attack just by like laying down fire on a trench. Like you just fill a trench with fire and then just stand there. And like they've still got regular guns, so they'll like take bodies. But I'm medic with a flamethrower, so I'll just like flame, and then I'll just stand there and they'll shoot me, and I'll just fucking duck, heal, stand back up, flame, and yeah, they're just going to go find somewhere else to go. They also know that they can't come through, right? Because if they do, if they try, even if they get enough hits on me to slow me all the way down, I can still just stand up and fire in, and I can kill like four people all at the same time. Like fire propagates in that game so fucking quick, that yeah, it's not a worry.
Mm-hmm.
And then yeah, you just keep moving further and further in. It gets junglier, and then it hits the mountain. That pushed over the fucking mountain into the final base spot is fucking rad. Uh, and yeah, again, it's just a matter of finding fucking sick angles to unexpected angles that will throw off their defense. And it feels like classic Battlefield 1942. Like, it reminds me, that's what you used to do in Battlefield 1942. And it's fucking rad. And also really cool when the storm comes in, because they've really mastered the art of the storm. And
Right.
like a few times, I don't know if it's triggered somehow or what, but like a few times the storm has literally like saved us on defense, right? Like they'd be on the push, on the hard push, there'd be tanks coming in, and then the storm would come through. The tanks are like amphibious. The storm would come through, and it's like, well, we're fucked now. And then yeah, the storm arrives, and like the tanks can't see shit anymore, and we're like able to get real close to them with the fucking dynamite, and we'll just fucking dynamite them. Yeah, like it just fucking the kills the fucking push and resets them again, and that's enough for us to win the map or something. You know? It's fucking awesome. Yeah, it's so cool. It feels real good to play.
It's the first time you've played since they put in the lean, I feel like.
It is. I'm not leaning, though. I'm not using it at all because I haven't rebound on any of my buttons. So, yeah. I should, but I think I don't know. I've got muscle memory now. You know, at this point, like I'm a lot of muscle memory on how I do stuff.
I immediately rebounded to Q&A as soon as they put that in there.
Yeah.
A couple months back, just so I knew.
Yeah. Yeah, it was probably a good idea. Yeah. You played it at all?
I played a little bit. I played like one round, and I don't know. I'm just not interested in playing it with just randoms. I don't think.
Yeah.
It's a different type of game. I'm more than happy to play Apex with randoms.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Battlefield's different. I'm cool to play one round and just fuck around and then go, yeah, cool, I'm done. Like, Call of Duty's different again. Like, I can just run in by myself and be like, I'll just play with team deathmatch with randoms or whatever. But I feel like PUBG, Battlefield's a different experience. Like, I guess having played it, 200 hours or whatever it is we've played of that already, as primarily a team game. Like, even back in Australia, I'd never really play that game by myself. I'd always wait for someone else to jump in. It's just not my jam to jump in and play alone. Like Nate's more than happy to sit there and random up with other people,
bang his head against the wall of playing with randoms. Yeah, I can't do it.
Yeah. Just like I'm cool. So yeah, no, it seems cool. I don't know. Maybe I'll jump in with you guys and see what the latency's like at some stage.
Yeah.
Or I might check out Firestorm if that's still pumping.
Oh yeah.
I'd love to check that out. See if it works over here. Yeah.
Yep.
Otherwise, not much. All right, what else we got here? Idle Dice. Idle Die?
Idle Dice. It's an idle game I've been playing on my phone. You get dice, and you tap the screen and roll a dice. You get points based on how many, like what number you roll, and then you get you get one to start off with. You get extras as it goes through, and like as you get more and more die, sort of multiplies. So yeah, it's just a classic idle game. It's just interesting. It's got a lot of interesting build up and multiple layers of prestiging and all that kind of stuff. So it's just a cool little idle game that's sucking all my battery at the moment. Decent one to check out if you are looking for an idle game to play. Yeah.
Cool. All right, what else have we got here then?
Red Dead.
Yes. I've not played a lot. Like, I think I talked about it last week, so this would be all you, I feel like.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, I played it a bit more. I was playing it yesterday, and played it when I go back. And I went, and enough time has passed now that there are mods. So I got a mod.
With the nude
mod that allowed me to change myself into a bird.
Oh, nice.
And you fly around like a bird. and it's amazing. It's my favorite thing. And yeah, so I was doing that and flying around as a bird, and then I found uh, I should not have let it save. It corrupted my save game. If you change your player model, it corrupts your save game. I went and looked afterwards, and all of the then the mod that allows you to change into a bird specifically and directly says, "Do not allow it to save. It will corrupt your save." I'm like, oh right, okay. Well, I shouldn't have done that. But it did sort of incentivize me to just fucking. I grabbed a save game that skips the first two chapters.
Mm-hmm.
Skips me straight to um, the waterhole on the river, which is rad. So yeah, it was a I don't know decent idea, I reckon. A good outcome. So now I just sort of skipped ahead a bit. It's like it's not a save game with like fucking tons of money or anything. I just got like a generic save game that sort of skipped me ahead a bit, and I can get back to playing without having to do the fuck because I would have had to do the entire snow area again. And I just couldn't fucking do it. I cannot do it a fifth time. I was barely able to fucking bring myself to do it a fourth time. So yeah, easy to find a save game online if you can't bear to do the snow area at the start of the game again. And yeah, it's a good idea in my opinion. Yeah.
How's it run?
That's about it. Runs really good. I don't think it for me. It doesn't look significantly better than the Xbox, but it runs really smoothly and loads better than the Xbox does. I timed it. It's about a 30-second initial load, and then a 20-second load after the menu, which is much better than the Xbox did. So, yeah, yeah, I don't know. Runs good. Very, very much. Having seen your screenshots and stuff, fuck, I got the itch to buy a new graphics card. Oh my god. I just want pretty games. I've been so good about not getting caught up in the fucking graphics card bullshit. But man, I want pretty games.
Wait till Cyberpunk's coming out. Ray tracing.
I know. Yeah.
You could have played Control with ray tracing.
I know.
You could have played
so
Modern
many...
Warfare with ray tracing.
Well,
yeah. So there's been some performance issues with it. They couple of like graphic card sort of YouTube channels have been running through like benchmark tests and whatnot to try and find the optimal way to run the game. So yeah, there's a couple out there, but it seems like it's super intensive in terms of your hardware at the moment.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've sort of been tweaking a little bits and pieces, but it definitely looks a lot better. It just the performance wise is a bit not great. It seems like they've still got some work. They put out an update today. Rockstar did saying that they're working on a bunch of patches. I think one of them came out today, and they'll be addressing like a stuttering issue that they've got with some NVIDIA cards and certain like drivers and whatnot.
Yeah.
So hopefully that'll resolve issues for people that are having it. But yeah, I mean it's really good looking game, and if you go check out some of the videos on Ultra, like compared to like what medium sort of looks like, it's a big difference. So maybe that'll sway you even further. Yeah.
Hold on. Hold on.
And the last one I think we got in here is The Sims 4 Discover
Yes.
University. So I went to EA's head office in San Francisco, it's just down the road from me, and they let me check out the new expansion pack for The Sims 4. Do you have much of a relationship with The Sims 4 at all?
No.
I think we went to
No.
Did you have a preview with me a couple 5 years back?
Yep.
Yeah. I've always liked The Sims games, but I've never like sort of hung past them past their release cycle. Like I don't like, it's not the game where I sit there and I'll play later on down the track. But they do put a lot of effort into it. They've released, I think this is their 8th expansion for this one. And it seems like it adds a huge amount of stuff. They talked about how it's basically their last sort of expansion that the fans are really like clamoring for. So they've done like the university stuff in the last two games, and
Yeah.
it's interesting because it adds like another layer into the game, where you're controlling Sims from an adult life, but you can also have like families and I guess teenagers and then toddlers as well and babies and that sort of thing. But as like a young adult or a teenager, there's sort of like this void of stuff that you can't really do, and so that opens up this whole new opportunity for like a huge amount of extra gameplay by being able to start off as a young adult, going through college or university, getting degrees and that sort of thing, and then that transitions really nicely into adult life as a sim, being able to take the things that you've learned and apply them to your work life. Yeah, it seems like compared to some of their other expansions they've done, this seems really like it fills out the core game of it so much more. And as someone who's not like a giant Sims, not a fan, but like someone who's like right in the mix, and just kind of looking on the outside, it seems like there's a huge amount of stuff going on here. And sort of like the general vibe from the community that I got that was there was they were super excited for this one. And so they had a big sort of 2-day session at the office in EA, and invited a bunch of like content creators out that do a lot of work with The Sims, and then also media and whatnot were also over there. And so I jumped in, and you get to create your character and that sort of stuff, and they've added a bunch of new features into the create a character stuff. And so then I immediately build my person. I think she was I think I went with a female character. I can't really remember. Anyway, and then I basically, you get the choice of, they've got 2 new areas, sort of like 2 universities that you can pick from, and these universities have local housing, like university housing with dorms and whatnot, and there's also like your traditional go find a lot and just kind of live in a flat or something like that. And so I kind of just picked a flat and went off and started, messing around, checked out the new stuff in the build system because they've added a ton of new items in there, and started like customizing my house to begin with, and spent maybe like 30 minutes on there. And I kind of looked around at everybody that was sitting in the room with me, and surprisingly the majority of them was still making their characters. Like, they are so invested in the storytelling in this game. Yeah, and I was just so surprised by like people sitting there customizing what they look like and the personality traits and all the cosmetics. And yeah, it was really funny to sort of watch how quickly I was like, all right, I want to get all the gameplay stuff out of the way, and they were really invested on like making their characters and on all that sort of thing. Totally different player bases. And so yeah, I went through and did a bunch of customizing in the house and whatnot, yeah, and then you start like you apply for universities, and you decide like what degrees you want to choose from. And to give you an example, here, like I'll just read off a bunch that I wrote down that you can sort of go into. There was art history, biology, communications, computer science, culinary, arts, drama, economics, fine arts, history, language and literature, physics, psychology, villainy, which I guess is for you can be a bank robber in the original game. I guess that ties to that.
Okay.
But like that's just the degrees, and then you can pick you can drill down into that and pick classes and take. You can take 3 classes, or you can take 5 classes, or you can just do the 1 class and be like, sort of stretch out your semester. And then what ends up happening is you end up taking tests during these. During the semester, and examinations, and you got to study, and basically the better I guess you practice your skills, the better off you'll end up completing the course. And then you can kind of get these degrees and then incorporate them into your jobs. It'll tell you like the bonuses that you can get. So you might want to do a computer science degree and then take that into your job and it makes you earn more money, or you'll be better at like time management in that particular job, or it'll sort of further your career depending on what position you end up taking. And so that, I think that like complements really nicely from going from a young adult or even just an adult and then going and wanting to learn some of this stuff, being able to incorporate all that stuff and make it practical in the main aspect of The Sims is really useful. So I think that stuff is really cool. They talked about like sort of campus life and what that's like. So if you actually live in a dorm room, you can't build. There's no build mode. You can customize, so you can make your room sort of the way you kind of want to make it look, but you can't knock down walls or put in different structures in there. It's kind of like, this is the dorm, this is how it's laid out, and you've got roommates, you've got other people that live in there. There's no like kitchen, so you can't burn the place down because that'd cause some problems. So instead, like, people will bring you food. Other people in the in the dorm will like bring food for the entire place, or you can go out to the campus and find like a food stall and eat there if you wanted to. So they've kind of thought about ways around that in particular. There's a bunch of like activities you can do on campus. You can go to sports matches, things like soccer and whatnot. You can be part of an esports team if you wanted to. There is like study groups that you can participate in if you want to try and get better at that sort of stuff. Bunch of different organizations that you can join. Hangouts, you can go to different like rooms that have been set up in these campuses to go study. There's just a bunch of different things that are going on in terms of like campus life aspects, and what they're trying to do is incorporate stories as well. So like having your roommates be like a pivotal part of that. And so you can go on, if you're the type of person that likes playing those types of games for stories and that sort of thing, you can go do that if you want to. But at the same time, if you just want to avoid all of that sort of stuff, you can by just moving into your own flat and not having roommates and dealing with those types of people. But I tried a bit of both. I had a lot of fun being in the dorm because I was pranking people and things like that. Like, I'd clog up the toilet, which is hilarious, and then they would come in and there'd just be a mess everywhere, and then there'd be like 6 stalls in the dorm and I'd block all of them, and then people would just be walking in, the entire place would be flooded, and I thought it was pretty funny. But you can do a lot there. And so there's like, there's the classic sim stuff. Building relationships with people is obviously a key focus in there. And it just seems like they've really thought about how they can incorporate this stuff into the main version, because they've obviously done things like island life and that sort of stuff just doesn't really interest me at all, because it sort of detracts from, I feel like, the main game. Whereas this is completely different. What else can I talk about here? I've got a list of things as well. There's a couple of like minor things that they've done with the UI since the last time I've seen it. Like, it seems a lot cleaner and easier to find things. But otherwise, it's not it still looks like The Sims. It was super easy for me to jump into and maneuver about. Like, it wasn't hard at all, considering this game came out like 5 years ago, 5 years plus. So yeah, if you're the type of person that hasn't been in there for a while, you're not gonna have a hard time like jumping back in and getting acquainted with all the big changes they've got in there. There's things like juice pong, which is, I guess, their beer pong alternative, which that's all you really need to know about it. They a lot of the community thought there was going to be like this big thing around it, but it's not. It's just kind of juice pong. That's pretty much all it is.
What did they think it was going to be around it?
I guess they thought that you could do like 100 different things with this juice pong thing, but it's not. It's just like a game that you sort of play, like as if you were watching TV. Like, you kind of just watch the TV, right? Or you change channels, or you go up to a bookcase and you can study, or you can, it's like that.
What did they think they were going to... I can't fathom what it was what else it would entail.
I don't know. Maybe I don't know. You'd have to ask them. Go ask James Turner or something like that.
Right. Yeah. So
Yeah.
were they disappointed by the Juice Pong then?
No. I don't know if they were because I was talking to the. This is a comment a developer made, or the producer,
Right.
because I asked him a question about, um, is there stuff in the game that you feel like players would look at and not quite understand how much of like a big impact that feature actually is?
Right.
And he said that was a very good question. That's something he didn't prepare for.
Right.
And he said actually we for the most part we have the opposite with our community, is that they look at a feature in a trailer and think about all the possibilities, but really it's not like it kind of does one or two things. Like they'll brainstorm what they want this thing to do, and there's obviously stuff they've thought about, but they can't really do it in the game. And so for them,
Right.
they felt like it was the opposite. Whereas, the community like looks at something and they think about all these awesome things they can do with it, but you can't. It sort of does one or two things instead. So yeah, he couldn't really answer me that one. But I did talk about sort of looking at next generation hardware was one that we talked about a little bit, and the way that The Sims is developed is that they run on quite old hardware. Even back then when it was first released in 2014, I think it was, they had their specs were about 2012 computers, so they wanted something that like a really broad range of people to jump in, and the modding community in particular is pretty big in The Sims, and they look at a bunch of that stuff, and they're aware of it, but at the same time they've got to adhere to those specs still of those computers, and so they can't do anything crazy that some of the mod scenes kind of do with the game. And so then we sort of talked about next gen hardware, and this is the one of the senior producers, Mike Duke, on The Sims, and he talked about how as developers they're super excited for next generation hardware, because it means that he talked about SSDs in particular, how that's going to be a huge boost for them in terms of the things they'll be able to do, and the sort of the hardware, like how the hardware will affect what they'll be able to do with games coming into the future. So they're pretty excited for what's next for The Sims, I guess. And he didn't talk about exactly what they're doing next, but one of the big things he mentioned was that I asked him about was that whole notion of, you've done 8 expansion packs now and all these sort of game updates they do as well in between. How do you get somebody that's like either a returning player or a new player back into the game that is not familiar, or like, so that they're not overwhelmed by all the new stuff that's in there? And he is quite honest in saying that, like, in the past their player base has normally been a player base that has a long tail, and that kind of like the people that are still playing now are people that have been playing for a long time, and they don't really see new players coming in. That was how they thought about it in the past, but what they're seeing now with their data is that that's not the case, that it's like there's new players actually coming in, and so they never actually thought about that in particular. So like, how do you get new people accustomed to all these new updates without them feeling like, shit, I don't know where to start? And so he said that is something they're working on at the moment, but they can't.
Right.
He couldn't go into details about how they're going to be doing that, but yeah, that's still something that they did mention. And yeah, otherwise, like, it seems pretty cool. I'm sure people that are huge fans of The Sims will be very stoked for this, because it seems to add a huge amount of stuff. I only got a couple hours to play with it, but it seems really solid. What was I going to say? Can't remember what I was going to say, but anyway, yeah, it seems pretty cool, and I'm sure that the community will be pretty stoked for it. Oh, that's what I was going to say. He talked about what's next for them in terms of, like, loosely, that because this is the last big thing that community's been hanging out for, they're kind of like free reign for them now. They can now start putting in stuff that they've really wanted to do. And so for them, next is going to be
Penetrative sex.
been a big surprise. Well, speaking about sex, one of the new skills you can do is robotics, and
What?
that you can learn is robotics. So you can build robots in the game.
Okay.
He talked about how one of the first questions on one of the comments on the YouTube trailer was, "Can you woohoo the robots?" And he said, "Yes, you can. You can woohoo the robots."
Wow.
So you can have relationships with robots. Not only like you don't have to necessarily build your own robot and have relationships with them. You can go have a relationship with someone else's robot if you want to.
That's gross. You cannot have a relationship with someone else's fucking... That is fucking disgusting. Good lord.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Fucking hell. Just fucking... Imagine, like, fucking finding a flashlight on the street and just going in.
Let's go.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. So, anyway. No, it seems cool. I dug it. I'm definitely, like, every time The Sims rolls around, I always jump in, and it's cool to see that they're sort of still on board, and they've got a huge player base. There was a lot of people there that were pumped for this, so...
Yep.
All right, that's The Sims 4 Discover University. That'll be out, I believe, by the time this goes up. It's this week. So.
And the other people who are in your session are still there making their characters.
They probably are, yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
Gold.
Cool. Is that all the games?
That's it.
All right, should we go on to the news?
Let's do it.
Let's get out of here. Sonic movie, new trailer dropped. People are very happy with this. So they released a trailer a while back, and people were not excited for the, I guess, the design or the style of the way that Sonic looked. And so they went back, which is huge props for them. Like, not just releasing it in the state it was. And then, they spent a couple of months redesigning Sonic, and they pushed the release date back. It's now a February release date. And, they were pretty... I don't know, people seem excited for the way he looks now. Whether or not the movie's going to be any good, probably not, but...
Right? Like, if that is where they went in the first place with Sonic, right? Why do they think that just because he's got a less fucking...
horrific face.
Yeah, it's going to be a better fucking movie. Like, what the... Like, was that the only... Oh, well... Oh, Sonic, Oscar award-winning movie. If only Sonic didn't look like a fucking weird rat thing. No, that's probably not the case. Like, it's probably going to be garbage. Good God. What the fuck, people? I don't even think he looks that much better now. I didn't mind him before. Like, it didn't fucking matter to me before. Right? Like, oh, everyone's losing their shit over how bad Sonic looks. Sonic's looked bad for years. He's just awful. Right? The only Sonic that matters is Sonic through Sonic and Knuckles, and the rest of it doesn't exist to me. It's all dead to me. Every other Sonic thing is dead to me except for Sonic 1 through Sonic and Knuckles. That's all I got. That's what I got to say on that topic.
Mm-hmm.
Fuck Sonic, and not the way that furries fuck Sonic. More dismiss Sonic. Yeah. All right. Yeah. That's it.
Next up is Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. Yeah. Let's try that again.
Fallen
Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order won't have a play first trial.
Right.
So this is the EA's like membership program they've got, where you pay like a premium, and you're able to, I guess, play the games early. And that's not happening, which is...
No.
I think that's a weird decision.
It's a bit odd. Yeah. They said it was to avoid spoilers, right? But I don't know.
I mean, wasn't there a bunch of leaks already?
Yeah, and what is it going to do? Like 2 days of spoilers? Oh, thank fuck. Oh, no. Who cares? Yeah, I don't know. It's just I don't know.
I mean, you're basically training people, right? To say that, you sign up for this thing and they'll give you the opportunity to play games early, and then all of a sudden being like, oh, except for this game. That game's not going to be early.
Except for our biggest game this year.
Yeah, fair enough.
Fair
Like
enough.
every time we bring up this stuff and people are like, oh, should we sign up for this service? Yeah, all right. If you're the type of person that plays this game like 3 games a year from this company, then do it. It's worth it to you. But then for them to get
Yeah.
to the end of the year and be like, oh, actually, that game's not going to be on there. You're
Yeah.
like, oh, okay, well, fair enough. Yeah, it's it's a strange decision that I do not.
Yeah.
I don't know what
No,
they're doing.
shit idea. They made a mistake.
Yep.
Yep.
All
Cool.
right. Next up is some PlayStation news. So Shuei Yoshida has stepped down from the head of Worldwide Studios and is being replaced by Guerrilla Games Hermen Hulst, which if you don't know that name, then Guerrilla Games worked on Horizon Zero Dawn, I guess, recently.
Yep.
So he'll be taking Shui's place, and I guess we'll see how that sort of pans out. Start seeing him a bit more in some press conferences.
I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's a bit early to say whether or not what impact this is going to have. I guess they had to replace Shuyashida, so that's about it, right?
Yeah.
That's all there is. Yeah.
Yeah. And then this next story, Bethesda is opening or has opened a new studio. Just got an email about this before. It's news from today. This one is interesting. Human Head Studios. That name might sound familiar because they were the creators of Prey.
Yeah.
And they were working on Prey 2, a game that I saw in some form at one stage,
Yeah.
which Bethesda then, I guess, shut down and then went a different direction. Eventually releasing Prey again. But Human Head have worked on a couple of games since then. None of them have been very successful, and consequently have ended up shutting down. But yeah,
Didn't
Bethesda's
they release a game this week?
this week.
This week. I'm sure of it.
Rune 2 is the latest game on here.
Rune 2. When did they release that?
Maybe it's not out yet.
Rune 2.
It says here release date 2020.
2020.
Guess it's not coming out.
What the? No, it says. I swear I saw it go on sale. Rune 2 is on sale. Play Rune.
Or maybe it's on Epic Store now.
It's on the Epic Game Store. Yeah,
Okay.
but Skyrim meets Breath of the Wild, but with multiplayer. Says Thor. Help! I'm on fire. Says Jukes. What the fuck? $30. Is this some sort of fucking cash grab? It came out yesterday.
Maybe it's just cost way too much money to make.
I am very confused.
Mm. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, anyway. Yeah. So everyone at Human Head was offered a position.
Yep.
At the newly
Roundhouse
opened
Studios.
Bethesda studio, Bethesda Games Studio, Roundhouse Studios. Yeah. Well, it's good that people didn't lose their jobs. Although, yeah,
Yeah.
I'm extremely suspicious of this Room 2 shit.
Well, I guess the thing is that it's being published by another studio, so maybe the deal was just not very good. In terms
Maybe?
of the money they'll make back. Who knows?
Yeah.
Anyway, I guess they're working, it says here, on an unannounced game. And then we'll see
Yep.
where that goes. I mean, maybe they go back on a Prey game.
It better be fucking Prey! No.
Did they make Prey 2?
Prey
Or did
2,
they make
do
Prey
it.
3?
Prey 3 it is. Just skip 2 altogether.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm
All
glad
right.
it.
That's the news of the week.
No, there's one more thing.
All right. Oh, the Shannon Knowlesy thing.
Yeah. Knowlesy has finally compiled all of the parts of his dream esports team, the Motley Squad. And they are, let's go through them. Obviously, Knowlesy, team captain. His special skill is an underdog. Then there is Cassidy McGill, who who is from Love Island, which I've never watched, and I don't know who this is. Her
Oh,
role
this is a
is
giant fucking marketing thing. What is this?
she's a driver, and her special skill is the Explorer. This is a PUBG squad, by the way. Then we've got Roxy Jasenko, who's a Sydney socialite. Her role is Hype Woman. Her arms have been photoshopped into nothingness. It's pretty spectacular. Her special skill is damage control. Maybe she's on Real Housewives of Sydney or some shit. I don't know. And the fourth is motherfucking Stephen Bradbury, Olympic gold medalist. His role is Overwatch / carry, and his special skill is stability and speed.
Oh, they're taking the piss.
This is the greatest fucking team I've ever heard of in my life. I am very much going to try and interview them, and I'm going to ask Stephen Bradbury about whether going to City Rollers back in the early 2000s and trolling for Poon worked out as well as he would have hoped, or if he should have just gone somewhere else with his Olympic gold medal, because he used to go to City Rollers up in Brisbane in the early 2000s, just after he won his gold medal, and he trolled for Poon. He was a mad Poon hound, old Steve Bradbury, and you heard it here on the Gap first.
Right.
Yeah.
How long does this thing last? What is going on?
It's going to be for whatever this fucking competition is, the Lenovo competition of dreams. Legion.lenovo.com is how you can get involved in the Legion of Champions.
All right, so this is going to be one event, right?
I believe so.
This is a show match, and they're like really fucking blowing it up.
I guess. Yeah. The finalists will face off at the Pantip Mall in Bangkok from the 12th to 14th of December. Registration ends today. Oh, it ends today. We're too late, I think, to have taken on Nolsey.
You
Maybe I'll
sign
just
up.
make up.
I'll play with latency. Let's do it.
All right. Easy peasy. Yeah, I don't know. It's amazing. I love it. It's the greatest thing I've heard. I'm all about it. I can't wait to see them in action.
Yeah.
And to interview them when they obviously win.
Yeah. How many kilos of coke were you on when you decided to do this?
Yep.
Yeah. All right. That's the news. We got any questions?
That's the news. We do have questions. Let's kick it off with Dr. E3 Money writes, "What the fuck is wrong, Blizzard?" All right. Do they, I assume with Blizzard? No, just Blizzard. Do they actually think it's smart to come out and say, yeah, we stopped updating Overwatch so we can make Overwatch 2? It's the same fucking game but with the updates they never put out. What do they mean Overwatch 1 isn't going away? Why the fuck are they competing with their own game? Why are they saying they will supporting both? They made a game. People seem to like it. They made a giant Overwatch League that seems popular. Now they're taking it out the back and putting a 12 gauge to its forehead. Fucking hell. Is this some elaborate scam to get out of the Overwatch League over hidden millions they are losing and start again? I'm so glad I never played Overwatch. And then he links to a Kotaku article that says Overwatch stagnated because of its sequel, says director. This is what we were talking about last week, right? The idea that they can't like fucking hold back updates for an Overwatch 2 that isn't coming out for ages.
New characters and things like that.
I swear to God, me ranting off the cuff was entirely off the cuff, and I hadn't seen anything like this last week, Drew. But I was popping off about this. Yeah, I mean, bit visual, the old imagery you've used, a bit visceral, violence. But nevertheless, a strong point. And yeah, I agree. It seemed mostly rhetorical, question-wise. I don't know if there is anything for us to answer. Why are they competing with their own game? competition's good, right, Drew? You know, focus up. Why would we compete with our own podcast by me going on the podcast all the time? Well, it's because I really like the sound of my own voice. Yeah. Any thoughts, Luke?
No, I think we summed it up last week pretty well.
It's true.
You should have just listened to last week's show.
Yeah. Duh, Drew. Dadoy. He did send it on the 7th, so it wouldn't have been posted yet. But nevertheless, sort your shit out, Drew. Z Doctor writes, no questions. Sorry, lads. Oh my god. I just couldn't resist with Dr. E3 Money's post, and it's a meme. Corporate needs you to find the difference between this game and this game. Is 2 pictures of Overwatch and Overwatch 2, and it's Pam saying they're the same game, which is a classic Office meme. Yeah, I agree 100%. I wish I'd made that meme. Frisco writes, with the passing of N7 Day, I have come to the conclusion that all the romance options should have resulted in an increased renegade reputation due to the power dynamic Shepard had over the rest of the Normandy crew. Would you agree or disagree? Interesting points. Shepard was the captain of the spaceship, the Normandy, and so anytime he fraternized with his crew, I guess what Frisco is saying, it was a renegade play because technically he was using his power advantage to gain undue influence. You know, it was technically in some ways sexual harassment. The crew didn't feel like they could turn down Shepard's advances for fear of reprisals, because not only did they have to work on the same spaceship, they also lived on the spaceship. And Shepard put them in a pretty tricky position and is kind of gross. No, strong point. Frisco, I agree wholeheartedly. Luke, any thoughts?
I have some thoughts, but it's about Dragon Age Day instead.
Oh, okay.
I think people should keep some ears out for that one.
Okay. It doesn't really drive at the question itself, but...
No. I think, Dragon Age Day. I think something's happened that day. From things
all
that
right,
I've
then.
heard.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Thanks for contributing, Luke.
That's what
As always, question time is more robust. With every effort you put in, with the complete lack of effort you put in to answering this stuff. Racy writes, we got fucking tons of questions this week, which makes your complete lack of effort that much more depressing, Luke. Anyway, Racy writes, listening to the talk about D4, D3, D2 make me ponder how many hours I put into the Diablo games. Obviously, stats weren't recorded back in the Diablo 2 days, but for Diablo 3, I clocked in just over 1,500 hours on PC. What are some games you guys have dropped huge hours into? I assume Dota, PUBG would rank highly, yeah. I believe PUBG is my most played. You can sort it on Steam now, can't you? It'll show you, I think, most played or whatever.
You used to be able to, yeah. If you go down to filter, and then go to hours played.
Hours played. Where the fuck is that?
So
I've got the new store.
Yeah, on library, scroll down to your games, all games.
Yeah.
And then go sort by, and then change the filter to hours played.
All games, filter. For the life of me, I cannot fucking see what the fuck.
Alright, so you go to library. You're on a library, right? Homepage.
I'm in library, yes.
On the right-hand side, you've got the fucking all your games.
Yes.
Yeah, scroll down to all games.
The fuck does that mean? I've got all my games. They're already fucking there.
What's on your right-hand side of your screen? Does it say what's new?
It's got games.
No, that's the left-hand side. Your games. Your games is there, right? On the right-hand side. What's on the right-hand side? What's the first thing you can see? What's the heading?
What's new? Yeah, it says what's new.
What's new? What's the next one? Recent games?
Oh, I see. Yeah,
Oh my
all
gosh.
games. Yeah.
How did you finish Death Stranding? To be honest, I don't even know.
Classic. Yeah, PUBG is my most played, apparently. DayZ comes in second. Underlords comes in third.
Oh,
This can't be right. Arma 2, Arrowhead comes in fifth behind Dark Souls 3. Then Arma 3, Dota 2, Counter-Strike Source, Dark Souls 2, Duck Game, big 60 hours. What? That doesn't make
how
sense.
many hours on PUBG? That's your highest, right?
Yeah, 1,012.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. What about you? What do you got?
Mine is Dota 2, 2,952 hours.
Nice.
That would be
Second?
primarily playing the actual game because I don't watch stuff in the Dota 2 client. I watch it all on Twitch.
Yeah, well, you didn't used to be able to get fucking free shit if you watched it on Twitch, and now you can,
I
so you
still
might
never
as well.
do it because you can link your Twitch account through it. So
Whatever.
used to like
What's
watching.
second?
PUBG, 1,094 hours.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I definitely dropped fuck tons of hours in Diablo 2 back in the day. Like tons and tons, because it was what we played overnight
Yeah.
on the LAN lock-ins. That and Counter-Strike. I've definitely played more than 1,000 hours of Counter-Strike.
Yeah, so Counter
It's
Strike
not-
would be up there. Quake would be up there.
Yeah. Oh yeah, 100%.
Soldier of
Yeah.
Fortune would be up there.
No. Wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good question. Racy writes, on a side note, the Druid was one of the few Diablo 2 classes to not return in Diablo 3. I do not remember the Druid in Diablo 2. Assassin was pulled apart into monk, martial skills, and the DH assassin traps along with Amazon bow skills. There's also quite a fan favorite class during Diablo 2 Lord of Destruction expansion. How the fuck did I miss this? Personally, I love Amazon to return in her original, as she was my main character of choice. Yeah, I played a fuck ton of Amazon. What features improvements would you guys like to see in Diablo 4 that haven't been shown? I don't know, Luke. Anything that because you've had the closest experience with it. Anything you'd like to see from Diablo 4 that didn't make the cut?
That I haven't seen so far. I don't know. I'm not sure. I haven't really thought about this. I think that like there's nothing in there that like when we play Borderlands, it's like, oh, here's all this quality of life stuff I'd like to see. But I feel like Diablo does that already. Like they do multi-tracking of different quests and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like maybe we do something with the partying system, some better party system options.
Yeah. I feel like more social elements would be probably the best addition that I could hope for. Yeah, because I always feel like I don't know, it's pretty lo-fi, like it's pretty old school, and there's a lot of stuff they could implement to increase, your ability to collaborate with other players. I'd love to see like some maybe even, it'd be a big old barrel of monkeys, but in-game voice chat that was sort of as good as Discord,
Right.
and sort of easy to sort of use, so you can always chat with people. Would be good, just so that you could automatically get in and talk to people in random games when you're doing adventure and stuff. Because I always feel like that's probably the I mostly play adventure mode or like in party with people I know, but there are times when you're just killing time until others show up. It'd be nice to be able to easily talk to people. Yeah.
I guess things like the social aspect, but sort of like things like PUBG's ping system, even just being able to identify, like, hey, let's mark this. Like, you take this thing, I'll take that. Sort of like in putting skulls or coins above a mob's heads in like Warcraft, right? Like we'll put this one to sleep, and this one will, we'll attack this one, blah blah blah. Like there's nothing in that for Diablo that I can see, but being able to identify certain targets, especially if they're going to start looking at things like the way that different enemies will sort of incorporate different behaviors and abilities, like being able to identify quickly who you want to go after when there's 30 things on the screen would be maybe something that'd be cool to see. But otherwise, there's nothing that really steps out to me that's like, oh, this particular feature I'd like to see. The one that I was thinking about when I was playing it was the pet system from Torchlight 2, where you could call a pet to go and take all your junk back to town, and it'd disappear for like 4 or 5 minutes and then come back with the gold. I'd still like to see that, because I think that would speed up the flow of the game like a lot. Because at the moment, it's the games recently we talked about have done this of like Borderlands, like, oh, don't pick up the trash because there's no point. Whereas Diablo's got this thing of you can pick up the good stuff, but then you go back to town and you sell it all, and then you go back. It like really breaks up the pace of that game. And so being able to mark all that stuff as junk, and then getting a pet to do it or whatever you want to do, means that you're on again. Like it takes 5 seconds, 10 seconds, and then you're straight into it, as opposed to 2 minutes or whatever. So I think that could be a huge thing that they introduce. But whether or not they want to steal like a pet system, I think they should do it. I think it'd be a big change, and it just mean that you'd pick everything up. Then I'd pick everything up. Fuck yeah. As opposed to just leaving all the whites on the ground.
Yeah, it feels a little wasteful sometimes.
Yep.
Cool. Nice. Good question, Racy.
Yep.
Good questions, everyone. Except for Z Doctor, who didn't ask a fucking question.
No, just put memes down.
Just putting memes in the old questions section. Okay, cool. That's the podcast.
That is the podcast. You can find us on iTunes, Android, Windows Store, Spotify, YouTube, all those places. You can find us under the Gap or the GA podcast. Please, if you've got a couple of moments, rate and review the show. Helps other people find it, which we appreciate that. You can also email us questions if you'd like to, thegapodcast@gmail.com, or you can go to our Discord page, thegapodcast.com/Discord. You can leave us questions like all of those wonderful people did. Or you can just chat in there, play video games. There's lots of things going on these days. It's good fun. Otherwise, you can check us out on social media, facebook.com/GAPodcast, twitter.com/GAPodcast, or you can go to our YouTube page, thegapodcast.com/YouTube, and then we've got a website as well, thegapodcast.com. It's got links to all the things we just talked about, including past episodes of the show, if you want to go check them out. Talked about BlizzCon last week. A lot of BlizzCon stuff. If you'd like to hear more about Diablo 4, which is really cool. And that's all thanks to our Patreon members who support this show. They help us pay some of the bills. You can go to patreon.com/GAPodcast if you want to do that. Thank you to everyone that does that every month.
You're the best.
Big thanks to Aussie Dingbat, who has upped their pledge from $5 to $10 a month. So thank you very much to the Aussie superstar.
Thanks, Dingbat.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Definitely helps us sort out the bills. And I think that is it. Have you got anything you want to pimp out?
Go check out my piece on Red Bull about Rainbow Six Pro League and how it's leveling out. How the skill in the competition like around the world in Rainbow Six is leveling out a lot faster than in other esports. Mm-hmm. Yeah, with quotes from wildcard players. Yeah, that's about it. What about you?
You can go to Stevivor.com, check out my Sims 4 interviews and listicle thing that I did.
Nice.
That's a hard game to preview and write big words about when you're not a Sims fanatic. So you do a list thing. Here's a bunch of things I learned. But otherwise, the interviews were good. So you can go check them out if you want to. Or you don't. It's up to you, but you probably should. And I think that's it. Next week, we'll be talking about Star Wars.
Star Wars.
Fallen Order. Yep.
100%. Yeah.
I'm definitely keen for that one.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
Yeah. Wasn't too keen on it at the start of the year, but
Yeah, definitely turned around now.
Yeah.
Yep.
So yeah, we'll be back next week. Thanks everyone for listening.